Before we get started, please like and subscribe. Let me know where you're watching from, and you can support the channel by clicking thanks or joining. I first noticed the shadow following me on a cold evening in November, when the wind carried the dry leaves like restless whispers along the empty street. My name is Daniel, and at that time, I lived alone in a small apartment on the edge of Brookhaven, a quiet town that hid too many silences. I had always believed shadows were harmless, natural companions to light, but that belief began to crumble the night I realized the shadow behind me was not my own. It moved with an uncanny deliberation and carried a subtle distortion, as though it belonged to someone else. The first sign came when I was walking home from my late shift. The street lamps threw long, dim glows over the pavement. My shadow stretched in front of me as expected, but another shape lingered slightly behind my right shoulder. At first, I thought it was an illusion caused by the flickering lamp overhead. Yet the more I walked, the more I saw that the second shadow moved with intention, as if matching my steps with a half-beat delay. I froze, and the second shadow froze too. My heart thudded in my chest while the chill in the air wrapped around me like cold fingers. I forced myself to move again, convinced I was imagining things after a long, exhausting day. But as I continued down the narrow street, the shadow continued to follow. When I stopped at the crosswalk, it stopped. When I turned my head, it leaned toward me with a subtle bend that did not belong to the angle of my body. That was the moment an instinctive fear bloomed from the base of my spine. I hurried home, glancing over my shoulder every few seconds, expecting someone to be walking behind me. Yet no one was there. The sidewalk was empty, but the shadow remained. Inside my apartment, I locked the door with trembling hands and threw my backpack onto the couch. The overhead light flicked on and drenched the room in soft gold. My shadow cast itself normally against the wall. I let out a slow, relieved breath. Maybe the cold had played tricks on me. Maybe I was too tired to trust my own senses. I sat on the couch and rubbed my eyes, trying to convince myself that nothing about this night was unusual. But then I glanced at the window and saw it again. A tall, narrow shadow stood behind mine. It did not match any object in the room, and its shape was too lean, too elongated, too human. I jumped up, knocking over a glass on the table. It shattered on the floor, but I barely heard the sound. My legs weakened as the tall shadow leaned forward as if studying me. I backed away until my shoulders pressed against the wall. The shadow did not mimic me this time. Instead, it shifted in a slow, liquid motion, stretching its long arms outward. There was no source of light on the window that could have made such a shape. It was then I realized the horrifying truth. The shadow was not cast by anything in the room. It was casting itself. My breathing turned ragged, and I stumbled into the hallway, trying to escape its reach. The narrow corridor was dark except for the faint light from my living room. As soon as I stepped into the corridor, the shadow followed, sliding along the wall like a smear of darkness, with its edges trembling softly as though alive. I ran into my bedroom and slammed the door. My body trembled as I pressed my back to the door, listening for any sign of movement. After several long minutes, I dared to look down. Under the small gap beneath the door, a sliver of shadow stretched inside. I scrambled back, crawling across the floor until I reached the opposite corner of the room. The shadow slipped farther beneath the door like an ink spill searching for me. There was no sound, no footsteps, no rasping breath, yet the sense of presence was overwhelming. My room felt colder, as though the temperature had dropped several degrees. The air carried a subtle weight pressing against my chest. The shadow gathered into the shape of a hand that reached inward with slow, deliberate intent. I grabbed the bedside lamp and swung it toward the floor, hoping the light would banish it. Warm light flooded the area, and the shadow recoiled, pulling back beneath the door with a speed that shocked me. The sensation of release washed over me like a wave. I gasped for air, clutching the lamp as though it were a shield. My hand shook so violently I almost dropped it. For minutes I remained frozen, unable to think beyond the fact that the shadow had fled from the light. Eventually I crawled onto my bed and kept the lamp on my lap. The bulb hummed softly, offering a fragile comfort. My mind raced, searching for explanations. Maybe I was hallucinating, but the terror had been too real. Maybe someone was outside my door manipulating shadows, but no human could create a shadow that moved on its own. At some point, exhaustion pinned my eyelids heavy, but I forced myself to stay awake. I knew instinctively that if I turned off the lamp, the shadow would return. Time crawled slowly. The yellow pool of light around me was small, barely protecting the space directly on the bed. Every few minutes I glanced at the doorway, expecting the shadow to seep under again. When dawn arrived, pale morning light drifted across the floor. I finally allowed myself to exhale. I stood cautiously and opened the bedroom door, half expecting the shadow to leap at me, but the hallway was empty. I walked to the living room, the memory of last night clinging to me like a second skin. The window reflected only my normal shadow. Everything looked ordinary, but I could not shake the sense that something had followed me from the cold November street. Something that had chosen me. I decided to leave the apartment for a while. The outside world felt safer in daylight. But even as I stepped onto the sidewalk, a dark thought gnawed at me. Shadows never disappear entirely. They only wait for the right moment to return. The morning after the shadow first revealed itself should have felt like a reset, a clean slate scrubbed by sunlight. But instead, every corner of my mind buzzed with static dread. My name is Daniel, and as I stepped outside my apartment, the cold November air bit sharply at my skin. People walked past me on the sidewalk, living normal lives, unaware that I scanned every passing surface for unnatural darkness. I kept glancing down, expecting to see the second shadow trailing behind me again. Though daylight should have offered safety, part of me feared the shadow could bend rules that light used to obey. I headed to Brookhaven Coffee, hoping caffeine would clear my mind. The bell above the door chimed softly as I entered. and warm bakery scents drifted toward me. The cozy interior and soft chatter of early customers felt comforting, but the illusion of safety cracked whenever I caught my reflection in the glass display case. For a split second, I thought I saw a thin, dark blur behind me, but it vanished when I blinked. My nerves were frayed. I ordered a coffee and sat in a corner near the window where sunlight streamed in bright enough to drown every shadow in the room. I tried to ground myself with normal routines. I sipped the hot coffee. I listened to the sounds of spoons clinking against ceramic cups. I watched a family laugh together at a nearby table, yet none of it settled my thoughts. My mind kept replaying the moment the shadow reached under my bedroom door, searching for me like a predator tasting its prey. I knew the experience had been real. The fear had been too visceral, the presence too oppressive. But why had it chosen me? And what did it want? When I finished my drink, I walked toward the library, hoping research would provide answers. Brookhaven Library stood like a solemn monument at the center of town. Its tall windows glinted with pale light, and its heavy oak doors creaked when I pulled them open. Inside, the quiet reading halls stretched wide with endless shelves of books. The air smelled of paper and old varnish. I approached the reference section, scanning for anything related to shadows, folklore, or unexplained phenomena. Part of me felt ridiculous, but desperation pushed me forward. After an hour of searching, I found a thick, dusty volume containing old regional legends. Brookhaven had a long history older than the town records suggested. Some stories spoke of entities that mimicked the living by stealing their reflections or shadows. One legend described a figure known as the Follower, a shapeless spirit that attached itself to individuals who wandered the streets alone on certain cold nights. According to the text, once the Follower marked someone, it learned their movements and studied them until darkness fully claimed them. The description chilled me, though. I told myself not to jump to conclusions. It was just folklore. But as I turned another page, a subtle shift in the ambient light made my pulse spike. I froze. On the floor beside me, my shadow stretched normally, but just inches behind it, another faint outline trembled. It was subtle, like a whisper in the dark, but it was there. The library was bright with skylights overhead, so the presence of a second shadow made no sense. My breath hitched, and I shut the book with trembling hands. I stood slowly, refusing to look directly at the second shape. I forced myself to walk toward the nearest skylit aisle, hoping the brightness would erase the dark figure. But every step I took was mirrored by a slight flicker behind me. I stopped by a large window, letting sunlight glare across my face and cast my shadow sharply onto the floor. The second shape faded, but did not vanish completely. It pulsed like a weak heartbeat fighting against the light. Panic surged through me, and I walked quickly toward the exit, trying not to break into a full run. The moment I stepped outside and into the open street, the second shadow vanished entirely. replaced by normal midday brightness. I breathed hard, struggling to steady myself. The town continued moving peacefully around me, unaware of the nightmare creeping at my heels. I did not know where to go because nowhere felt safe. Not even in daylight. I decided to visit my friend Lucas, the only person I trusted enough to share what had happened. Lucas lived several blocks away in an old townhouse with ivy crawling up its brick walls. When he opened the door, his warm smile faded immediately at the sight of my pale, shaken expression. He invited me inside, and I stepped into his living room where the curtains were drawn, but a lamp provided soft gold illumination. The light felt reassuring, though not enough to erase my fear. I told Lucas everything from the moment I saw the second shadow until the incident at the library. He listened intently, his brow furrowed in concern. When I finished, he leaned back and crossed his arms, unsure whether to believe me, but clearly rattled by my sincerity. He suggested stress exhaustion or even illness could have triggered hallucinations. I wanted to agree, but the memory of the shadow moving independently felt undeniable. Lucas placed a hand on my shoulder, telling me he would help me figure this out and that I should not be alone. We talked for over an hour, and for a moment I felt grounded again, anchored by the presence of a friend. But when Lucas stood to fetch us something to eat, my blood froze. On the wall behind him, two shadows stretched. One belonged to Lucas, cast cleanly by the lamp. The other stood a step behind him, tall and quivering faintly like heat rising from asphalt. I stared, unable to form words. The shadow had found me even here. Lucas noticed my horrified expression and turned. But the second shadow did not imitate him. Instead, it leaned forward, its edges trembling with anticipation, as though it were delighted to be seen. The lamp flickered noticeably dimmer, and I pushed back from the couch, stumbling to my feet. Lucas asked what was wrong, but I was already pointing to the wall, my voice breaking. When he finally saw the unnatural silhouette, his face drained of color. The shadow stretched upward, elongating its neck, then its arms, then flattening itself unnaturally against the wall like a creature ready to pounce. Lucas swore under his breath and lunged toward the lamp, hoping to increase the brightness, but the bulb flickered again, as if the shadow were feeding on the light itself. The room darkened by a fraction, and the tall silhouette advanced, sliding along the wall inch by inch, until it almost reached us. I grabbed Lucas and dragged him toward the kitchen, where brighter fluorescent lights hummed overhead. As soon as we crossed the threshold, the shadow recoiled, shrinking fast like an animal burned by flame. My breath shook as I realized the entity obeyed one rule consistently. It feared strong light, but the question that haunted me more than anything was why it kept coming closer, no matter where I went. By the time night approached, I no longer trusted the daylight that had protected me just hours earlier. The air outside grew colder, the sky darker, and every instinct in my body screamed that the shadow would return as soon as the sun slipped beneath the horizon. My name is Daniel, and after leaving Lucas' house, I walked home with a growing dread pressing against my ribs. Lucas had urged me to stay the night, but I refused. afraid the shadow would harm him if I stayed. I felt responsible for bringing the entity into his home. Whatever this thing was, it had chosen me, not him. The streets of Brookhaven were unusually quiet. Most shops had closed, and the orange street lamps blinked on one by one, forming a weak line of illumination that stretched into the distance. My footsteps echoed across the pavement as I walked briskly, trying not to look behind me. The wind slid between the buildings with a hollow, whistling sound that made the hairs on my arms rise. I did not need to see the shadow to feel its nearness. The sensation grew heavier with each block I passed, the way an unseen animal stalks just outside a ring of firelight. When I reached my apartment, I hesitated before unlocking the door. The hallway beyond was dark except for the dim glow of the emergency light near the stairwell. My chest tightened. Darkness felt alive now, filled with an intelligence waiting for me to step into it. I flicked on the flashlight app of my phone, casting a shaky beam across the corridor. The light cut through the dark, revealing only old wallpaper and scuffed floors. But the oppressive weight in the air did not lift. I made it inside my apartment and immediately turned on every lamp. Warm light filled the space, washing away the deep shadows. For a moment, I allowed myself a deep breath. Maybe if I kept the lights on through the night, the shadow would stay away. But that hope died quickly when the overhead bulb in the living room flickered once, then again, then steadied as though something had brushed against it. I froze, staring at the ceiling. The shadow feared bright light, but it was learning to manipulate weaker sources. I moved around the apartment, checking windows, corners, and the hallway. Nothing moved, yet the atmosphere felt thick, as if the entity lingered invisibly between the photons, waiting for the first sign of weakness. I sat on the couch, gripping a portable lantern I had bought earlier. The lantern produced powerful white light, and it provided a small bubble of security. But the night outside deepened, turning the windows into black mirrors. Around midnight, a faint tapping noise echoed from the far corner of the room. It was subtle at first, like fingertips brushing lightly on a wall. I scanned the area, my lantern beam trembling. The tapping grew louder, spaced in slow, deliberate rhythms. The sound came from behind the bookshelf, where the lamp's glow was weakest. My stomach knotted. The tapping stopped, abruptly replaced by a low, dragging sound, as though something flattened against the wall was stretching itself upward. I raised the lantern and stepped cautiously toward the sound. As the bright beam touched the corner, something darted backward, a sliver of darkness retreating with unnatural speed. My breath hitched. The shadow was inside the apartment again. Despite the lights, it moved differently now, more confident, as if it had grown stronger since the encounter at Lucas' house. I backed away until my legs touched the couch. The overhead light flickered again and the room dimmed by a fraction. A cold whisper slid across my ear. It was not a voice, but a sensation, something pressing into the air beside me. I spun around, expecting to see the elongated silhouette, but nothing stood there. My own shadow cast clearly on the floor, but just beside it, A faint smudge pulsed like a living bruise on reality. The second shadow thickened rapidly, stretching upward into a tall, distorted humanoid form. My pulse raced and I stumbled backward, nearly dropping the lantern. The dark figure leaned forward as though sniffing the air around me. Its edges quivered with hunger. I lifted the lantern higher, and the intense white light blasted across its form. The shadow shrieked without sound, collapsing inward like smoke inhaled by an unseen force. It recoiled, flattening itself against the far wall where the lamps were weakest. Sweat rolled down my forehead. The entity did not vanish this time. It simply shifted, repositioning itself just beyond the reach of light. Then the power went out. The apartment dropped into absolute darkness. Every lamp, every bulb, every appliance died at once. My heart slammed against my ribs as the world dissolved into black. The lantern flickered, but remained on its cold white beam, slicing a narrow cone of safety. Beyond that cone, thick darkness pressed in from every direction, pulsating with intent. A shape stirred at the edge of the beam, tall and razor-thin, stretching impossibly upward. The shadow stepped closer, not gliding this time, but stepping, legs unfolding from its lower mass like tendrils reforming into the shape of limbs. The entity had grown more defined, more physical. I felt rooted to the floor, unable to look away as it advanced. Its featureless head tilted with a jerking, unnatural motion, studying me the way a predator studies prey. Cornered in a den, I stumbled backward, keeping the lantern trained on it. The creature paused, its body trembling in rage as the light held it at bay. But I could feel the battery weakening. The beam dimmed slightly, barely noticeable. Yet the shadow reacted instantly, leaning forward, as if sensing the impending failure. My breath quickened. I needed stronger light or a way out. I backed toward the kitchen where emergency candles sat in a drawer. Though candles felt far too weak to fight something like this, the shadow followed my every movement, staying just inches beyond the beam, its limbs twitching with anticipation. When I stepped into the hallway, a faint glow from outside filtered through the window. Street lamp light, weak but present. If I could reach the window, maybe the combined light would give me more space. The entity lunged. A sudden burst of motion broke from the darkness, the creature spreading like liquid shadow across the floor. I swung the lantern wildly, the bright beam catching it in mid-lunge. The creature halted violently, its body spasming as the light burned into it. Its form peeled apart like layers of smoke, twisting and writhing. I pushed forward, yelling involuntarily, forcing the beam closer. The shadow staggered backward, collapsing into the wall where it shuddered violently, as if pinned. For a moment I thought I had overpowered it, but then a ripple of darkness rolled behind it, like a tide cresting into existence. The creature straightened slowly, its body reforming taller, more solid than before. The lantern dimmed again. My stomach dropped. The battery was fading, and the entity knew it. I made a desperate dash for the window, hoping the street lamp light would offer protection. The creature followed, slithering along the wall, its arms elongating until they nearly brushed my back. I fumbled with the window latch, flipping it open just as the lantern blinked erratically. Pale yellow light from the street lamps washed in, but it was not enough to stop the shadow fully. It halted only slightly, its body trembling with restrained hunger. I held the lantern out, the last shield I had, its dying beam flickering. The shadow shifted, ready to strike, and I understood then that I would not survive the next few seconds unless I found a source of stronger light. But there was no time. The lantern flickered again, fading to a dull glow. The shadow leaned forward inches from my face, reaching with long, trembling fingers, prepared to drown me in its darkness. The lantern dimmed to a trembling ember just as the shadow's fingers extended toward my face. My name is Daniel, and by that moment terror had hollowed out every breath inside me. I swung the lantern instinctively, but the dying beam sputtered weakly across the creature's form, barely slowing its advance. The cold that radiated from the shadow was not physical, but something deeper, a chill that sank into thought itself. Its formless head leaned forward until the darkness was inches from my skin. I stumbled backward, slamming my shoulder into the window frame. The street lamp outside cast a faint yellow haze into the room, not nearly strong enough to restrain the creature, but enough to make its movements slow and strained. The entity recoiled slightly, its limbs twitching with irritated hesitation. For the first time since the power outage, I had a sliver of breathing room. I shoved the window open wider, letting more light spill across the floor. The creature hissed without sound, recoiling just enough for me to slip along the wall toward the kitchen. The lantern went out completely. Total darkness surged across the apartment, swallowing everything except the thin wash of street lamp light that reached through the window. The shadow sprang immediately into motion, lunging toward me like a wave collapsing forward. I hurled myself through the doorway into the kitchen, slamming my back against cabinets as I reached blindly for the drawer where I kept matches and candles. My fingers fumbled across utensils, shaking with frantic urgency. The shadow spilled across the floor behind me, a mass of writhing limbs that stretched and contorted as though eager to claim me. Now that the last portable light had died, my fingers found the matchbox. I yanked it open, scratching one match against the side. A bright flare burst to life, illuminating the kitchen in a trembling halo. The shadow recoiled violently, flattening itself against the refrigerator, its edges curling inward as if burned by the sudden brightness. I scrambled to light a candle, but the match burned quickly, its glow shrinking by the second. As soon as the wick caught flame, I lifted the candle high, its weak yellow glow pushing just enough to buy me a few more feet of safety. But the creature did not retreat far. Instead, it lurked at the edge of the candlelight, its tall, angular body shivering with anticipation. Candles were too weak to stop it fully. I knew that the moment its warped silhouette pulsed forward despite the flame's glow, if it could push push even slightly through the light, then soon it would overcome it entirely. I backed toward the center of the kitchen, clutching the candle close to my chest. Then an idea exploded in my mind. The fuse box. If I could restore power, the overhead lights might stall the creature long enough for me to escape. The fuse box sat in the pantry on the opposite side of the kitchen. The pantry door loomed only a few feet away, but between me and it stretched a darkened patch of floor where the candlelight barely reached. The creature sensed my intention without needing to read my thoughts. It uncoiled slowly, rising taller until its elongated shape nearly brushed the ceiling. I bolted for the pantry door. The candle's flame wavered violently as I sprinted across the kitchen. The shadow lunged, snapping across the floor like a whip of darkness. It struck just behind my feet, splashing upward in a pillar of writhing limbs. I slammed into the pantry, nearly dropping the candle, but managed to yank the door open and dive inside. The shadow crashed into the door frame, unable to cross the threshold fully, while the candle still burned. Inside the cramped pantry, the fuse box sat mounted on the wall. I held the candle between my teeth and opened the metal panel with trembling fingers. Rows of switches blurred through my panic. I scanned desperately for any that were out of place. A few breakers had flipped, likely overloaded by the creature's draining presence. I flicked them back up, but nothing happened. The apartment remained black, the lights refusing to return. My heart hammered in desperation. I hit every switch one by one, flicking, resetting, slamming them with growing panic. Still nothing. Outside the pantry, the creature pressed against the candlelight barrier, its limbs snaking upward along the walls. The kitchen darkened even more as the creature manipulated the shadows, bending them into its shape. The candle flame flickered low, threatening to die. My breath came in ragged bursts. I had seconds left. Then I noticed one breaker with a tiny red indicator almost invisible in the dim light. A master switch. I flicked it upward. Bursting light roared through the apartment. Every lamp, every overhead bulb, every fixture blazed to life at once, filling the entire space with blinding illumination. The shadow creature let out a silent convulsion, collapsing violently against the wall as though struck by a powerful force. Its form peeled apart into long streaks of black that sizzled and curled away from the brightness. The kitchen blazed in fierce white light, stripping the creature of every hiding place. I stepped out of the pantry, cautiously holding the candle, though it was no longer needed. The shadow writhed in the far corner of the living room, pinned like a wounded animal under the intense glare. Its limbs thrashed violently, slapping against the walls with spasms of rage and agony. But even pinned, its form did not disappear entirely. It fought against the light, clawing at invisible barriers, dragging its shape inch by inch, despite the burning. The light weakened it, but could not destroy it. Sweat poured down my face as I watched the creature struggle. My chest tightened with cold realization. If this was what the apartment's full lighting did to it, then it meant the creature was far stronger than I had believed, and it was adapting. Every encounter made it more defined, more resistant. Eventually, Light alone might not be enough to repel it. The creature suddenly froze. Its twisted, elongated head snapped toward me, its body flattening across the floor like a shadow pulled taut. Its edges shimmered, vibrating with a low, resonant pulse. Then slowly, impossibly, it began sliding along the floor, despite the light pinning it down. I stepped back instinctively, raising my hands, though I held no weapon. The creature strained with pure will, its shape distorting into angles that defied the laws of light. It dragged itself forward an inch, then another, its body flickering and jittering like a corrupted silhouette, forcing its existence into the illuminated world. The overhead lights flickered. I jumped, reaching for the wall switch, but the creature surged forward, its form expanding outward like a splash of black ink. It pressed itself into the nearest shadow cast by a fallen chair, merging with it seamlessly. My stomach dropped. Even in a fully lit room, tiny pockets of shadow still existed. The creature slipped between them like stepping stones weaving through the illuminated space. The lights flickered again. Panic shot through me. It had reached the electrical system. It was feeding on the energy drawing power directly from the wiring. The creature's form darkened, thickening into a near solid mass. It stretched along the wall, rising into a towering silhouette ready to strike. If the lights went out again, I would not survive. I grabbed the brightest flashlight I owned from a drawer and switched it on. A powerful beam cut through the room, striking the creature squarely. It convulsed violently, recoiling from the intense concentration of light. I advanced step by step, forcing it backward, though the creature's resistance grew stronger with every moment. Its quivering limbs dug into the walls, leaving deep, dark impressions as though staining reality itself. The light strained, the beam flickered, the creature surged. I stumbled back, knowing that I needed more than temporary light. I needed a plan, a place of safety, or someone who could understand what this entity truly was. The creature lunged again, its form expanding outward into a nightmarish silhouette that stretched from floor to ceiling. My flashlight flickered desperately, trying to hold it back, and for the first time the shadow spoke without sound, but with a presence inside my mind. It had my name. The shadow spoke my name without sound, yet the force of it shook through my mind like a shockwave. My name is Daniel, and in that moment, the air around me thickened with a suffocating pressure, as if reality itself strained under the creature's presence. The shadow's form towered before me, expanding and contracting in slow, unnatural rhythms. Every instinct demanded I run, but my legs trembled, refusing to obey. Its silent voice echoed again inside my skull, shaping my name with cold, deliberate intent, as if tasting it. I stumbled backward, gripping the flashlight with desperate strength. The beam flickered wildly, scattering across the creature's surface. Wherever the light touched it, The shadow rippled violently as though its form were made of stretched tar. But the entity no longer retreated. It leaned forward with slow, trembling anticipation, pushing deeper into the beam as though testing the limits of pain and endurance. I felt the temperature in the room plummet, icy breath curling from my lips. Fear surged through me, but so did a terrible realization. The shadow was learning. Every encounter with light made it stronger, more resistant. Soon even the brightest lamp would not be enough to hold it back. The creature's silent voice pressed inside my skull again, forming a string of warped thoughts. Not words exactly, but concepts, images, impressions. A street, a place, a memory not mine, but something the creature wanted me to follow. The flashlight sputtered again. I took a step toward the window, hoping to reach the street lamp glow, but the creature moved faster. It surged forward like a collapsing wave, shoving itself into the remaining darkness. The room dimmed as the overhead lights flickered uncontrollably. My pulse hammered as the creature closed in, swallowing the space between us, inch by inch. I raised the flashlight higher, but the beam weakened, failing to cut through its thickening mass. Then the entire apartment shifted with a faint rumble. For a split second, the creature froze its head, snapping toward the front door. Something outside had changed. A new source of light flashed from the hallway. Voices, footsteps. A moment later, someone knocked loudly on my door. "Daniel, you home?" I heard a familiar voice call out. "Lucas." My throat tightened. The creature pulsed with sudden agitation, retreating slightly but not far. Lucas knocked again, louder this time. "Daniel, open up. Man, are you okay?" The shadow twitched violently as the bright hallway lighting leaked under the door. The creature recoiled, but did not disappear. Its mass stretched thin, clinging to the ceiling and walls like a swarm of living soot. It was waiting for darkness again. "Daniel, coming in," Lucas called. Panic seized me. Lucas could not enter. Not with the creature still here. If he stepped into the dimmer sections of the apartment, the shadow would strike without hesitation. I stumbled toward the door, waving my flashlight frantically, trying to push the creature farther back, though the beam barely affected it now. My fingers struggled with the lock. "Lucas," I shouted through the door, my voice cracking. "Don't come in. Stay in the hallway. Stay where it's bright." What Lucas called back, confused. "Daniel, you're scaring me. Just open the door. Let me help." I cracked the door open just enough to see him standing under the bright hallway lights, his face pale but worried. Behind me, the creature clung to the living room ceiling like a massive distortion, barely visible yet unmistakably alive. Lucas' eyes widened when he glimpsed the dark movement behind me. "Oh God, Daniel, what is that?" "I can't explain now," I gasped. "Don't step inside. The lights in here are dying. If you come in, it will go for you." Lucas swallowed hard, his breath shaking. "Then get out, Daniel. Come into the hallway. It's brighter out here. You'll be safe." I wanted to. Every part of me wanted to flee into the light. But as I stepped toward the door, the creature's body expanded rapidly, blocking the exit with a sheet of writhing black mass. Its shape flattened through the air, forming a barrier between me and Lucas. Lucas stumbled backward in terror. "Daniel, run. Get away from that thing. The flashlight sputtered, then died. In the instant darkness, the creature lunged. I dove sideways, rolling across the floor as a wave of shadow smashed into the doorway, slamming it shut with bone-rattling force. Lucas shouted from the hallway, pounding on the door. "Daniel, are you alive, Daniel? Talk to me." But his voice sounded muffled, distant, swallowed by the darkness inside my apartment. The shadow's mass recoiled, gathering itself like a storm cloud as it turned toward me. I scrambled blindly across the floor toward the bedroom where I kept an old camping lantern. If I could reach it, I might hold the creature back long enough to escape. My fingers scraped against the floor as I crawled, breath ragged. Behind me, the shadow slithered across the walls and ceiling in a chaotic frenzy, searching for me, sensing weakness. It moved differently now, faster, unpredictable, its form shifting violently with every second. I reached the bedroom door, flung it open, and plunged inside. The room was darker than the rest of the apartment, the curtains drawn tight. The creature surged after me, filling the doorway with its towering silhouette. My heart pounded so loud it drowned every other sound. I scrambled toward the drawer where the lantern was stored, pulling it open with a frantic jerk. My fingers found cold metal. The creature barreled into the room. I tore the lantern out of the drawer, its weight heavy in my shaking hands. I slammed the switch. Nothing. The lantern was old. It needed batteries. Batteries I kept in the desk across the room. The creature's massive form expanded, spreading across the ceiling as it descended like a predatory shroud. I dashed toward the desk, but the shadow struck the ground before me, rising into a jagged wall of darkness. I skidded to a stop, heart choking me. The creature's presence pressed against my mind, thrumming with hunger. It wanted me to freeze, to surrender, but terror pushed me forward. I crawled under the desk, reaching up to yank the drawer open. Batteries clattered into my hand. The creature's limbs smashed downward inches from my head, shaking the floor. With trembling hands, I shoved the batteries into the lantern, slammed the compartment shut, and hit the switch. A violent white flare erupted. The creature screamed silently, collapsing backward as if struck by an explosion. Its entire form deflated, crumbling into a dense, writhing smear that skittered across the floor, retreating from the light. I stumbled to my feet, clutching the lantern as its brilliant glare flooded the room. The shadow pressed itself into the farthest corner, seething like a trapped animal. The walls trembled as the creature pulsed violently. The air crackled with psychic pressure. Then its silent voice filled my mind again. Not with my name this time, but with an image, a place, a dark road leading out of Brookhaven toward the old industrial district, a place where light rarely reached, a place it wanted me to go. The lantern's beam shook as my hands trembled. The creature had spoken again, not a threat, a call, and something inside me knew this was only the beginning. The lantern's fierce white glow held the shadow pinned in the corner, yet the feeling of safety was an illusion, thinner than the trembling glass of the bulb. My name is Daniel, and as I stood in the cramped bedroom clutching the lantern, my breath shook with a strange mixture of terror and clarity. The image the creature had forced into my mind lingered with piercing sharpness. A dark road, the outskirts of Brookhaven, the abandoned industrial district where light seldom reached and silence ruled the night. Why had it shown me that place? A trap, an invitation, a command. I could not tell, but the shadow pulsed violently in the corner, its shuddering silhouette swelling and deflating like a monstrous lung. It wanted something, wanted me to go there, and that thought alone made my blood turn cold. The bedroom lights flickered as if responding to the creature's agitation. Even pinned by the lantern, it strained against the illumination, its edges writhing in furious ripples. I stepped backward inch by inch until I reached the doorway. The lantern's glow carved a narrow path across the darkened floor, but the rest of the apartment lay in uncertain semi-light. The creature might be weakened, but it was not defeated. Lucas' voice suddenly filtered faintly through the door. "Daniel, are you all right? I called the policeman. They're coming. Just hold on." Panic surged up my throat. The police could not help me. They would walk into the apartment unaware of the lurking darkness. They would bring flashlights too weak to fight it, and the shadow would take them as easily as breathing. I turned toward the bedroom door, gripping the lantern tighter. "Lucas," I shouted through the walls, "don't let them in. Keep everyone out. If they enter, the creature will kill them." What Lucas sounded horrified. "Daniel, what are you saying? You're not making sense." I didn't have time to explain. The lantern hissed softly, its light trembling along the edge, as though the creature's presence dimmed even the flame of electricity. I had minutes, maybe less, before it regained enough strength to break free. I needed to escape before the apartment became my tomb, and I needed to draw the creature away from anyone who might stumble into its path. I moved to the living room. The creature shrank farther into the corner, curling itself into a twisted spiral of darkness that clung desperately to the shrinking shadow cast by a toppled lamp. It watched me, its eyeless form turning with a slow, unnerving grace. It knew what I intended. It wanted me to leave. My heart thundered. I approached the door. Lucas was still outside. I cracked the door open just enough to see him standing in the hall, framed by harsh fluorescent light. "Daniel, thank God," he whispered. "The police aren't here yet, but they're close. Tell me what to do." "You need to go, Lucas. Go home. Stay in bright light. Do not follow me. I mean it. If you follow me, it will kill you." Lucas shook his head, his eyes wide. "Daniel, I'm not leaving you alone with that thing. You have to. Please," I begged. "If you ever trusted me, do it now." My voice must have carried a terror he had never heard from me before. Lucas swallowed and stepped back, nodding with deep, reluctant fear. "Okay, just please be careful. Where are you going?" I didn't answer. If I told him, he might try to follow. I closed the door and locked it. The apartment instantly felt smaller. The creature pulsed again, sensing my movement. I walked to the window, lantern held high. Outside, the street lamps cast flickering pools of yellow light along the road. Beyond them, darkness thickened in the alleys, and between the aging buildings, somewhere out there, the place from the creature's vision waited, taking a deep breath. I lifted the lantern wound, the cord around my wrist, tightened my grip, then climbed out the window onto the fire escape. As my feet touched the cold metal, the shadow reacted violently, thrashing in the living room with a distorted, silent roar, as if furious that I had fled rather than submit. Its form surged toward the window, but the lantern's glare froze it mid-lunge. I descended quickly, the metal rattling under my boots. Once on the street, I felt painfully exposed. Pools of light from the street lamps were my only sanctuary. I understood now that the creature could move freely wherever shadows lay uninterrupted. The entire town was its hunting ground once night settled fully. I hurried forward, staying in the circle of light as best I could. My pulse hammered with every step. Brookhaven looked different under the cold night sky. Windows glared blankly. Trees reached skeletal branches across dim sidewalks. Every shifting silhouette made me flinch, though none moved with the uncanny sharpness of the shadow that stalked me. I could feel it even now, though the lantern kept it at bay. It was watching, following, waiting for darkness to weaken my fragile defenses. I reached the end of the residential block and stepped onto the old highway leading toward the industrial district. The lantern flickered uncertainly as though protesting the direction I was heading. Beyond the reach of the nearest street lamp, the road became a corridor of darkness stretching endlessly, and somewhere inside that darkness, something answered the creature inside my apartment. A pull that tugged at my thoughts. I stepped forward. The industrial district loomed ahead, rising like the skeletal remains of a forgotten world. Old factories jutted against the sky, their windows broken, their chimneys towering like monuments to decay. Rusted fences curled inward. The road became cracked uneven. The lantern's glow formed a trembling barrier around me as shadows shifted with slow, deliberate hunger. The air grew cold enough to sting my skin. The creature's voice pulsed in my skull again. Not words, but pressure waves of intent. Calling, summoning, demanding. I moved deeper. A massive warehouse stood at the center of the district, its metal siding peeling, its sign half-torn, revealing faded letters. The fragment I could see read, Hava, a name or a company long dead. The vision from earlier flashed in my mind. This was the place. The lantern trembled violently in my hand, as though something inside the warehouse pulled at the light, draining it. The warehouse doors stood slightly open. A thin black seam spilled from the crack like smoke that refused to rise. My breath caught. Whatever waited inside was older, darker, and far more powerful than the creature that haunted me. Perhaps it was the source, or perhaps it was something the creature served. The lantern's glow dimmed the closer I stepped to the door. When I was only a few feet away, the darkness inside shifted. A tall silhouette rose slowly from the black seam, stretching impossibly upward. My legs froze as pure instinct shrieked inside me. The silhouette was not the creature that followed me. This one was larger, broader, more defined, with edges that shimmered like burning coal. The air turned suffocating. Then a second shape crawled from the darkness. Then a third, all towering, all silent, watching. The lantern flickered once, twice. I staggered backward, nearly tripping over broken concrete. The three silhouettes moved in unison, leaning forward with predatory interest. They were studying me, measuring me. A low hum vibrated through the ground, as if the concrete itself trembled beneath their presence. My heart pounded so violently it hurt. The shadows inside the warehouse did not advance fully. They stopped just beyond the threshold, waiting, watching. Then behind me, farther down the road, I felt the familiar pressure. The creature from my apartment had escaped. It followed my footsteps, drawn to this place, and the thing inside the warehouse responded with a ripple of excitement. I realized then with a clarity that nearly broke me. The creature had not been calling me here. It had been delivering me. The realization that the creature had delivered me rather than summoned me struck with a force that nearly buckled my knees. My name is Daniel, and as I stood before the yawning mouth of the warehouse, three colossal shadows looming inside, and the familiar malignant presence closing in behind me, the night seemed to constrict. The air throbbed with an unnatural pulse. Every instinct begged me to run, yet my legs refused to choose a direction. Forward meant facing the towering silhouettes that watched with cold, predatory interest. Backward meant meeting the creature that had stalked me for days. The lantern in my hand flickered, warning me that its light would not last much longer. The thing behind me approached in slow, calculated pulses of pressure, each wave thickening the air. The three silhouettes inside the warehouse tilted their heads in unison, as if signaling to welcome the smaller shadow back into their fold. The creature behind me released a ripple of anticipation, as though responding to a command. I turned slowly, expecting the creature to leap from the darkness of the broken road. Instead, it emerged with disturbing grace, its tall, jagged form pushing through the shadows as if it were water. Its outline trembled with excitement, like a starving animal approaching a feeding ground. It did not look at me this time. It looked past me toward the warehouse. A sickening understanding settled in my chest. The creature had not chosen me at random. I was a delivery, an offering, something meant to be brought to this place. But for what purpose? The ground vibrated with a low hum. The warehouse silhouettes stepped forward, but stopped just inside the threshold. They could not cross into the open road, whether bound by some rule or weakened by distance from the core darkness within the building. I could not tell, but their reach stopped at the cracked concrete seam beneath the door. The creature behind me, however, had no such limitation. Its silent voice pressed into my mind again, this time forming clearer impressions. Images of people walking alone at night, leaving behind shadows that did not match. Children waking to see silhouettes pressed against their ceilings. Towns where darkness pooled unnaturally. And always the warehouse, the center of a network of living darkness. The lantern flickered. I gasped and held it closer. The flare expanded, trembling violently before dimming again. The shadow creature hissed without sound, twisting its body with hunger. The warehouse shadows responded by leaning forward, as if urging it to bring me closer. I took a single step back, my breath sharp and ragged. The creature reacted instantly, its form flattening across the pavement. then surging forward like a wave of liquid night. I stumbled to the side, raising the lantern. The light burst outward, forcing the creature to recoil with a violent shudder. Its edges curled inward, but it did not retreat far. It was growing stronger, too strong for the lantern to restrain for long. The warehouse shadows rippled with agitation, their forms distorted into long, jagged spikes, scraping along the metal walls. The entire structure groaned under the weight of their movements, and then I understood the truth that froze my blood completely. The creature had not been feeding on me. It had been feeding on the light, draining every bulb, every lamp, every flicker of illumination. Growing stronger, preparing for this exact moment, the warehouse was where it belonged, where it would transform into something far worse. I had to run. Without thinking, I darted to the side, breaking the alignment between me, the creature, and the warehouse. The lantern beam shot across the cracked pavement, illuminating broken metal crates and rusted fences. The creature shrieked silently and lunged. I sprinted down a narrow alley between two decaying factory buildings. The lantern swung wildly, sending shards of light across the walls. The shadows warped, reacting with unnatural speed. Behind me, the creature smashed into the alley, mouth stretching its limbs along the walls like serpents made of ink. Its body contorted, breaking apart into multiple tendrils that slithered after me. I tripped over a broken pipe, hitting the ground hard. The lantern nearly flew from my grip. I clutched it tighter, forcing myself up as the tendrils converged. I swung the lantern in a desperate arc. The bright flare struck the nearest tendril, causing it to recoil with a violent snap like a rope pulled taut. The other tendrils wavered, but advanced. The alley narrowed ahead, choking into a single dark corridor where even the lantern could not reach fully. If I kept running blindly, I would fall into pure darkness, and the creature would consume me instantly. I stopped. The tendrils froze, sensing hesitation. The creature's full form began pouring into the alley behind them, blocking my retreat. I backed against the wall, forcing the lantern forward. My hands shook uncontrollably. Sweat dripped down my temples. My breath hitched as the creature extended one long limb toward my face. Then something unexpected happened. The warehouse shadows shifted violently. The ground trembled. A low, resonant boom echoed through the district. The tendrils jerked back as though yanked by an unseen force. The entire alley pulsed with psychic pressure. The creature shrieked silently, collapsing into itself. It looked backward toward the warehouse with terror, not hunger. The towering silhouettes inside the warehouse were no longer waiting. They were rising, expanding. Their heads brushed the rafters, their arms stretched outward, merging with the deepest pockets of darkness. A vortex of shadow began swirling inside the warehouse, drawing every stray fragment of living darkness toward it. The creature that had stalked me trembled, convulsing uncontrollably, as though fighting against the pull. This was not a summoning. This was a feeding. The warehouse shadows were not welcoming the smaller creature. They were consuming it. The creature lunged toward me, not to attack, but to escape the pull. It pressed itself against the alley wall, expanding upward in a desperate climb. Its limbs flailed, clawing at broken windows and rusted pipes. The vortex roared louder, pulling harder. A hurricane of darkness spiraled as the shadow entities inside the warehouse absorbed every flicker of movement. I ran. The lantern's beam cut through the darkness as I bolted out of the alley and into the open yard. Behind me, the creature shrieked silently as its body peeled apart, layer by layer, sucked toward the warehouse like dust into a tornado. I sprinted past broken vehicles and piles of debris as the ground vibrated beneath my feet. The warehouse doorway exploded outward as the vortex unleashed a shockwave of lightless energy. I fell forward, hitting the ground as a blast of wind tore through the yard. The lantern smashed into the dirt, flickering but miraculously staying lit. I rolled onto my back just in time to see the creature's massive form collapsing inward, consumed entirely by the towering silhouettes. Then silence. A suffocating stillness settled over the district. The vortex dissipated, leaving only the three colossal shadows standing motionless at the warehouse entrance. Their forms pulsed slowly as though digesting what they had consumed. Then all three turned to face me, their heads tilted in unison. Not with hunger, with recognition. The lantern sputtered, and I realized with chilling certainty that I was no longer prey. I was the next chosen thing they wanted. The three colossal shadows stood perfectly still, their towering silhouettes outlined only by the trembling glow of my lantern. My name is Daniel, and in that moment, the cold industrial air felt sharp enough to carve into bone. The shadows no longer hid in darkness. They stood openly at the warehouse threshold, as if the creature they had devoured had strengthened them. Their movements pulsed with a dreadful awareness as their heads tilted in my direction, studying me with an intelligence far older than anything human. I took a step back, my boots scraping against broken concrete. The lantern flickered, but held. Every instinct urged me to run, yet my legs remained anchored by terror. The silhouettes leaned forward in unison. Their forms were no longer smoke-like or shifting. They were solidifying, condensing into dense slabs of darkness shaped like impossible humanoid giants. What they wanted from me, I could not guess, but the intent radiating from them throbbed with chilling clarity. They had chosen me. Why? The night wind pushed through the abandoned yard, rattling metal sheets and carrying the faint scent of rust. That small, ordinary sound made the monstrous silence of the shadows even more unbearable. The lantern fluttered again, its light shrinking as though the air itself tried to swallow it. I tightened my grip until my knuckles ached. Then the tallest shadow raised an arm. The movement was slow, deliberate, and wrong. Its arm bent at an angle no living thing could mimic. Darkness spilled from the shape like thick smoke drifting toward me across the cracked ground. Each ribbon of shadow writhed as if alive. I stepped back instinctively, raising the lantern. The white glare cut through part of the spreading darkness, but the shadow pulse merely split into two tendrils, circling around me like predators testing a fence. They were probing the lantern's limits, and they were learning far faster than the smaller creature had. A wave of pressure slammed into my skull. I gasped as the world tilted. The warehouse, the road, my memories, all compressed into a single suffocating point. The shadows were speaking not with sound, but with force. They pressed images into my mind, people vanishing on moonless nights, entire neighborhoods swallowed by darkness, a presence beneath the earth older than the town itself, and at the center, always, the warehouse, a doorway, a mouth, a fracture between light and something far beyond it. The images vanished as suddenly as they came, leaving me breathless and shaking. The tallest giant shadow stepped closer, but still did not cross the boundary of the warehouse threshold. There was a rule, a limit. Something prevented them from stepping beyond that crack of jagged metal. But the spreading tendrils of shadow drifting from their bodies were not bound. They slid across the yard, reaching, stretching, testing. I turned and ran. The lantern's glow bounced wildly as I sprinted across the yard, weaving between rusted machinery and jagged piles of scrap metal. Behind me, the tendrils surged forward, gliding across the ground with terrifying speed. They moved without sound, but the psychic pressure in the air pulsed louder than any roar. I ducked behind an overturned truck cab, gasping for breath. The lantern illuminated only a small bubble of cracked pavement. Beyond that, darkness churned like liquid ink. The tendrils split into branching limbs, sweeping across the area, searching blindly but methodically. They didn't need eyes. They sensed movement, fear, heat, whatever living signature they had tracked in me since the beginning. The lantern flickered again. I slapped the casing, desperate. It stabilized for a second, then dimmed further. The air felt heavier, colder. The shadows were draining the light. I pushed myself from the hiding spot and bolted toward a cluster of old storage containers. The shadows reacted instantly. A dark whip lashed across the ground toward me. I dove just in time, rolling across gravel as the tendril struck the metal behind me with a thunderous clang. The impact left a smoking scorch mark shaped like a handprint. If it touched me once, I knew there would be nothing left. I scrambled behind the containers and pressed my back to the cold steel. The lantern barely glowed now, its white center shrinking to a trembling core. I lifted it, heart pounding. A shadow tendril slid around the side of the container, curling upward like a question mark. I swung the lantern directly at it. A flare burst forth, brighter than before, as if the last of the battery surged in a final gasp. The tendril recoiled violently, writhing across the ground like a severed limb. Before retreating, I panted, dizzy with adrenaline. The lantern dimmed at once afterward. Weaker than ever, I needed to get out of the industrial district. I needed distance. I needed help. But the shadows had no intention of letting me go. A thunderous vibration rolled through the ground. I staggered, catching myself on the metal wall. The warehouse was reacting again. Its massive doors groaned outward, as if something inside was pushing with colossal force. The three silhouettes grew even larger, their forms distorting, expanding beyond their humanoid shapes. They were merging, a single entity, a monolith of darkness. My heart slammed against my ribs. If that thing emerged fully from the warehouse, the lantern would be meaningless. The street lamps miles away would be meaningless. The sun itself might not be enough. I ran again. My boots struck the pavement in frantic rhythm as I made for the far end of the district. The lantern, now little more than a trembling ember, cast a faint oval of safety. The tendrils pursued, slithering along walls, across rooftops, between cracks in the ground. They followed not with rage, but with certainty. They knew I could not escape forever. A collapsed chain-link fence blocked the road ahead. I vaulted over it, tearing my sleeve on the jagged wire. The shadows surged behind me, pouring into the open space like a giant wave. I sprinted across an empty loading lot toward a distant flicker of streetlight, the edge of the district. I was almost there. Then the lantern gave its final flicker and died. The world plunged into absolute darkness. My breath froze. The shadows surged instantly, converging from every direction. I felt them closing in a cold pressure against my skin, a whisper crawling down my spine. The towering monolith at the warehouse roared in silent triumph, its psychic voice crashing into my skull like a tidal wave. This is the end. Something inside me broke, not in surrender, but in defiance. I reached for anything, any spark of light, any fragment of hope, but all I felt was darkness tightening around me like a noose. Then a blinding flash exploded from somewhere behind me. White, fierce, unnatural light tore across the loading lot, slicing through the shadows like fire. The tendrils shrieked without sound, recoiling violently, dissolving into smoke like wisps. The monolith rippled, staggering as the light struck it from afar. I turned, shielding my eyes. A figure stood at the edge of the lot, holding a massive industrial floodlight. Lucas, his face pale, eyes wide with terror, but he held the light steady. "Daniel, run," he shouted. And for the first time since this nightmare began, hope broke through the dark. The floodlight in Lucas' hands tore through the suffocating darkness like a blade, and for a moment, the night itself recoiled. My name is Daniel, and as I staggered toward him across the cracked loading lot, the blinding white beam carved a path that the shadow tendrils could not cross. They writhed at the edges of the light, curling inward like scorched serpents, dissolving into trembling wisps. Behind us, the towering monolith at the warehouse unleashed a silent psychic scream that rattled through my skull. Lucas shouted my name again. I stumbled the last few steps and collapsed beside him, gasping for air as the floodlight hummed with fierce electric power. The beam was so bright it left after images burned into my vision. Lucas gripped the handle with both hands, his arms shaking but steady. "Daniel, what the hell is happening?" he yelled, panic cracking his voice. There was no way to answer. Not now. The shadows were regrouping, condensing, preparing to strike again. I pushed myself up, still clutching the dead lantern in my hand as if it were a talisman. The monolith inside the warehouse shifted. Its massive silhouette split into three again before merging, its shape glitching like corrupted video. Each time it flickered, the ground vibrated. The psychic pressure in the air intensified until my teeth ached. The shadows were furious. The light had wounded them, but it had also awakened something deeper. "Lucas, we need to move," I gasped. "Keep the light pointed at them. Do not let it drop." He nodded, swallowing hard. The floodlight beam swept across the yard, burning holes into the living darkness. The tendrils shrieked silently and retreated, but not far. They circled just outside the reach of illumination, like predators waiting for a weak spot. We ran. Lucas carried the floodlight, its heavy industrial cable dragging behind him across the concrete. I grabbed the end of the cord, praying the portable generator he had brought would hold. The machine sputtered behind us in the darkness, coughing out exhaust and trembling violently under the strain, but the light stayed on. We sprinted toward the highway, weaving between rusted machinery and shattered crates. The shadows pursued in fluid tidal waves, leaping from broken windows, crawling over walls, sliding along the ground with unnatural speed. They could not enter the beam, but they tightened around us, forming a circle of seething darkness. Lucas breathed heavily. "Daniel, why are these things after you?" "Because they want me," I panted. "They've been following me since that night. They sent the creature. They want something. I don't know what." A psychic pulse slammed into my mind with such force I stumbled. Images exploded behind my eyes. Not memories, warnings, demands. A road swallowed in total darkness. A figure kneeling, hands reaching upward, and behind them, towering shadows looming like gods. I nearly collapsed. Lucas grabbed my shoulder. "Daniel, what did you see?" I shook my head. I couldn't explain. The shadows hissed silently, tightening their noose. The beam pushed them back, but they adapted, shifting their shapes like fluid, bending around debris, probing every weakness. Then the generator coughed. The floodlight flickered. Both Lucas and I froze. The shadows surged instantly, leaping forward with violent hunger. Lucas screamed and aimed the floodlight directly at the nearest tendril. The burst of brightness sent it recoiling, but the flicker had emboldened them. Scores of shadow limbs lunged from rooftops and walls. "Run!" I shouted. We sprinted again, racing toward the highway entrance. The floodlight beam bounced wildly, slicing through tendrils and dissolving them in bursts of white fire. But the generator sputtered harder now, choking. Each flicker in the beam caused the shadows to slam closer. We reached the overpass, where the road split into two lanes. Below us, the highway lights flickered weakly. The city grid was failing. The shadows' influence was spreading. Lucas gasped. "Daniel, we can't outrun them." "What do we do?" I scanned the highway. Cars sat abandoned in the distance, their headlights dead. Stores on the horizon were dark. The entire power grid for Brookhaven was collapsing. The shadows were starving for the last of the light. Then I noticed something. Above us, mounted under the steel beams of the overpass, were two enormous construction lamps, industrial-grade floodlights meant for road repairs. They were plugged into a separate breaker box attached directly to the concrete pillar. "If I could reach it." "Lucas," I said, "aim the beam at them. Buy me time." "Daniel, no." "What are you doing?" "Trust me." Before he could protest, I sprinted toward the pillar. The shadows shrieked as the floodlight swept across them, splitting their tendrils. The monolith at the warehouse began to move slow at first, then impossibly fast, sliding across the ground like a collapsing horizon. Its size dwarfed everything around it, a living eclipse of the night. I reached the breaker box and ripped it open. Inside was a mess of wires, switches, and dust. My hands shook. I scanned desperately for a manual override and found it a massive steel lever labeled Master Ox. The shadows roared behind me. Lucas screamed my name. I could feel the monolith's presence, like a mountain pressing down on my skull. I grabbed the lever with both hands and pulled down. Nothing happened. A pulse of dread shot through me. I yanked harder. Still nothing. The monolith surged forward, its massive form blotting out the night sky. Tendrils poured around it like smoke. Lucas dropped to one knee, fighting to keep the floodlight aimed at the oncoming mass. "Daniel, hurry," he screamed. I braced my foot against the breaker box frame and pulled with everything I had. The lever slammed downward. A deafening boom exploded overhead. The two construction floodlights ignited with a blinding blast of white that turned the entire overpass into an artificial sunrise. The shadows shrieked in silent agony. Tendrils evaporated instantly, their forms dissolving into smoke. The blast of brightness struck the monolith head-on, tearing massive chunks from its torso. Its form rippled, warped, and then collapsed inward like a dying star. Lucas shielded his eyes. "Daniel, what did you do?" I staggered backward from the flood of light. Breathless, the monolith's remains scattered across the pavement like shredded curtains of darkness before evaporating into nothing. The remaining shadows scattered, fleeing in every direction like insects escaping daylight. But the victory was short-lived. A pulse of cold rolled across the ground. The shadows froze mid-flight. Then slowly, impossibly, they began crawling back toward the warehouse, dragged by an unseen force. Lucas stared in horror. "They're retreating." "No," I whispered. "They're regrouping." A rumble echoed from the warehouse district. The ground trembled beneath our feet, and then every streetlight for miles around suddenly died, one by one, like the town was taking its last breath. Lucas' face went pale. "Daniel, what's happening?" I watched the horizon darken. The warehouse glowed faintly with a deep red radiance, impossible and sickening. "They're waking something older," I whispered. "Something worse." Lucas tightened his grip on the floodlight. "Daniel, what do we do?" I swallowed the rising dread. "We survive, and we stop whatever comes next." The red glow rising from the warehouse spread across the horizon like a sunrise from some other world, staining the night sky with a sickening hue. My name is Daniel, and as I stood beneath the overpass with Lucas beside me, and the ruined shadows crawling back toward their source, I felt the truth settle into my bones like winter frost. The monolith we destroyed was not the origin of this nightmare. It had only been a vessel, a harbinger, and now its destruction had awakened something far older, far worse. The wind shifted, a low hum vibrated through the ground. Lucas gripped the industrial floodlight even tighter, knuckles white, breath ragged. The machine whined under the strain of its makeshift generator. Every second felt borrowed, purchased with light that could die at any moment. "Daniel," Lucas whispered, "what did we just release?" I swallowed hard, my throat tight. "I don't know." But it wasn't sleeping, it was waiting. The shadows that had been scattered across the district were now dragging themselves toward the warehouse, pulled by invisible strings. Their forms limped, shuddered, contorted, as if something inside the warehouse pulled at them with irresistible force. The red radiance pulsed again, brighter this time, sparking flickers of lightless lightning inside the broken windows. Then something moved, deep inside the structure, beyond the warped metal doorframe. A deeper darkness shifted, not a shape, a void, a mass so black it swallowed even the crimson glow around it. My knees weakened, the void expanded, pushing outward like a fist pressing through fabric. Lucas stepped back. "Daniel, it's coming out. We have to leave," I said, but the words barely escaped my lips. My voice felt small, swallowed by the weight of the presence building inside the warehouse. The ground heaved suddenly, cracking beneath our feet. A shockwave of psychic force blasted outward. I felt it tear through my mind like a razor. Images flashed, cities swallowed by moving night, forests drained of all light, oceans turned into sheets of ink, and always those towering silhouettes, thousands of them, standing in worship around a single enormous shadow. I screamed before I realized it. Lucas grabbed my shoulders. "Daniel, Daniel, talk to me." I blinked, vision blurring, the after images burning into my skull. The warehouse trembled violently. Metal sheets ripped from the walls and twisted upward, spiraling like shredded leaves caught in a tornado. The red glow intensified. Then the void stepped forward. A single massive limb pushed through the doorway, forming from absolute blackness, its edges shimmering as though reality strained to hold it. The limb alone dwarfed the earlier monolith. It dragged across the ground, scorching concrete, leaving black cracks that spread outward like veins. Lucas gasped. "Daniel, what is that thing?" I forced myself to speak through trembling breath. I think the shadows were pieces of it. Fragments. This thing is whole. The void rose higher. The warehouse roof buckled, groaning before splitting apart with a deafening metallic scream. The structure collapsed around the emerging silhouette. The ground vibrated with each subtle pulse of the entity's form. Its presence was suffocating, paralyzing, ancient. "Lucas, we have to run now," I said, grabbing his wrist. But before we could move, the shadows on the ground surged toward us in a massive wave. The red-lit sky flickered as the shadows pressed forward like a living ocean. Lucas fired the floodlight at them. The beam tore through the first wave, disintegrating dozens of writhing tendrils. But the shadows kept coming. Hundreds, thousands, a swarm. Lucas shouted over the roar. "Daniel, I can't hold them forever." Ooh, I grabbed the cable attached to the floodlight machine as he dragged it backward across the highway. But the shadows closed in fast. Too fast. Their tendrils slid across the pavement, wrapping around broken guardrails, crushing debris as they crawled toward us. Lucas stumbled. The floodlight wavered. Darkness surged forward in that instant. I swung the cable like a whip, smashing a cluster of tendrils aside. Lucas regained his footing and redirected the beam. The shadows hissed silently and withdrew again, but I could see the strain on Lucas' face. The generator sputtered harder now, choking on its final fumes. We scrambled up the highway incline toward the town, but the red glow behind us swelled into the sky like a volcanic eruption. The silhouette continued rising, its form now towering above the warehouses, above the factories, a creature made of absence rather than matter. Every light left in the city flickered violently in response. Lucas gasped as he looked back. "Daniel, it's following us." "No," I whispered. "It's studying us." The void paused, as if listening. Then an enormous psychic pulse swept across the landscape, knocking me to my knees. Lucas fell beside me, gripping the floodlight like a lifeline. The entity turned its formless head toward us, and in that moment, I felt it inside my mind, not like the smaller shadow, not like the creature stalking me before. This was deeper, older. It dug through my thoughts like fingers in wet earth. It wanted something. It wanted me. The smaller shadows had been scouts, hunters, delivery mechanisms. But this thing, this being, was the source. It had chosen me long before the first shadow appeared, and now it had come to claim me. Lucas shook me. "Daniel, stand up, we have to keep moving." But the psychic force pinned me like gravity. I felt the entity reaching across the distance, its form splitting into branching limbs of darkness, stretching toward the highway. I forced myself up, clutching Lucas' arm. "Run! Don't look back." We sprinted down the incline toward the deserted streets of Brookhaven. The town was now completely dark. Every home, every shop, every street lamp, a dead city swallowed in lightless quiet. The only illumination came from the sputtering floodlight in Lucas' hands. Behind us, the colossal entity moved. Not fast, not slow, but with terrifying certainty. The ground vibrated with each shift of its mass. Structures collapsed in the distance. The psychic pressure sharpened until it felt like needles burrowing into my skull. We reached a narrow street lined with abandoned vehicles. Lucas aimed the floodlight behind us, buying us a few more seconds. The shadows recoiled, but the massive entity didn't. The beam simply vanished against its form as though light itself refused to exist near it. "Daniel," Lucas breathed. "The floodlight. It's not enough." I know. The creature extended an arm, if it could be called that, stretching impossibly far, reaching across the district toward us. The shadows followed beneath it like a tidal wave. Then something unexpected flickered inside my mind. A memory. No, not a memory. A message from the smaller creature. The moment before it was absorbed, it had tried to tell me something, a faint impression left behind. A place of light, a place below. I gasped. "Lucas, we need to get underground." why underground where? I remembered the blueprint of town utilities I had once seen at the library. A bunker, an emergency substation, designed decades ago. A fail-safe for when Brookhaven was still being built. The only place in town with its own independent power grid. Lucas' eyes widened as he realized what I was thinking. Daniel, if we can reach it, we might stand a chance. We took off running again, weaving between abandoned cars as the monstrous shadow closed in behind us. The floodlight sputtered, the red glow swallowed the sky. The ancient thing called my name again without sound, and Brookhaven held its breath as we fled into the dying night. The streets of Brookhaven stretched before us like veins of a dead city, every window black, every lamppost lifeless. My name is Daniel, and as Lucas and I sprinted through the deserted roadway, chased by something far older than night itself, I felt the weight of the town pressing inward. No wind, no hum of electricity, only the distant, seismic shifting of the colossal shadow behind us. The ancient entity moved with deliberate inevitability, its massive limbs dragging across rooftops and tearing through the husks of buildings. Each motion sent tremors through the ground that rattled my teeth. Above us, the sky glowed with unnatural red waves, pulsing like the heartbeat of a dying world. Lucas held the industrial floodlight in a white-knuckled grip, its beam still slicing through smaller tendrils that lunged from alleyways and rooftops. But the massive void creature, the true source, absorbed the light without so much as a flicker. It was a walking eclipse, devouring illumination the way lungs inhale air. Daniel, how far is this place? Lucas gasped while running under the old courthouse. I panted, a forgotten emergency utility bunker. It has its own grid, self-contained, shielded. Lucas cursed under his breath. So basically, the most hopeful thing we have is a basement from the 1950s. It's better than being out here, I said. A psychic pulse struck us like a shockwave. Lucas stumbled, nearly dropping the light. My knees buckled. The void creature had stopped moving. It was watching us, studying our direction. I felt its awareness scraping along my thoughts like claws. It knows where we're going, I whispered. Then we better get there first. Lucas said. We cut down a narrow street lined with abandoned cars, their headlights shattered, their shadows stretching unnaturally long behind us despite the lack of light. Tendrils skittered across the pavement, weaving like ink spiders. Lucas swung the floodlight, dissolving them in bursts of white fire, but the generator was choking. Every flicker of the beam told the same story. Our time was nearly gone. Ahead, the courthouse loomed, a hulking silhouette against the red sky. Its broken clock tower pointed upward like a dead finger. The steps leading inside were cracked and covered in debris. The bunker entrance was beneath the courthouse, through the basement hall, past the archive rooms, and down a locked steel hatch. We reached the main doors. Lucas pushed, but they didn't budge. Blocked, he panted. I pointed toward the shattered window to the right. Help me! We smashed through the old pane and climbed inside. The courthouse interior was a tomb of dust and abandoned files. Each hallway was flooded with darkness so thick it felt like liquid. The faint glow from the floodlight created trembling, elongated shadows shadows that clung to the walls like parasites. The tendrils had followed us inside. Lucas yelled, sweeping the light across a mass of twisting limbs forming in the corner. They recoiled, but more rose from behind a collapsed bench. The hallway became a maze of writhing silhouettes closing in. "This way," I shouted, grabbing Lucas' arm. We sprinted down the main corridor. The tremors from the colossal shadow outside shook ceiling tiles loose. They crashed to the floor around us as we ran. Dust clouded the air. The shadows behind us pressed forward, slamming against the floodlight beam like a tide. We reached the staircase leading to the basement. Lucas nearly slipped on the first step as the generator sputtered. I grabbed him, balancing both of us as we descended into deeper blackness. The moment we reached the basement landing, the temperature plunged. Our breaths fogged the air. The darkness here was thicker, older, as if waiting for us. The bunker hatch lay at the end of a long corridor, a heavy circular steel door with a faded emblem, Brookhaven Civil Defense. Almost there. I breathed. Then the stairs behind us cracked. The building moaned with catastrophic weight. The void creature was descending. Lucas swung the light instinctively. The beam sliced upward through the stairwell and illuminated the impossible. The creature had partially entered the courthouse, its head massive, shapeless, shifting pressed through the upper floors, leaking darkness like blood. Tendrils poured down like roots searching for prey. Its sheer presence bent the air, making walls buckle. Even the light struggled here, flickering under the crushing psychic pressure. "Daniel, move!" Lucas shouted. We ran. The shadows in the basement surged ahead of us, forming a living barricade. Lucas blasted the floodlight, carving through them as we pushed forward. The steel hatch gleamed faintly in the distance. Behind us, the void creature entered fully. The courthouse folded like paper. The ceiling ruptured, raining debris. A support beam crashed between us and the stairs, blocking the creature's massive form, but only for seconds. It tore through the obstacle effortlessly, the sound like metal screaming. We reached the bunker door. I grabbed the wheel mechanism and turned. It screeched in protest, but shifted a few inches. Lucas kept the shadows back, though the beam was weakening fast. "Daniel, faster," he gasped. "I'm trying," I shouted. The psychic pressure intensified. My vision blurred. Blood trickled from my nose. The creature was reaching into my mind again, searching, claiming. Then the wheel spun free. I heaved the door open. "Go!" I yelled. Lucas stumbled inside. I followed, pulling the door shut just as the first of the massive tendrils slammed against it from outside. The steel shuddered violently. Bolts rattled. The floodlight finally died, plunging the bunker into complete darkness. For 3 agonizing seconds, neither of us breathed. Then emergency backup lights flickered on overhead, dim but alive. We collapsed against the cold floor, lungs burning, chests heaving. Lucas spoke first, voice shaking. "Daniel, please tell me this place was worth it." I looked around. Concrete walls, heavy shielding, independent power humming somewhere deep in the facility. For the first time since this nightmare began, the shadows outside could not reach us. But then the floor vibrated, slow, rhythmic, a pulse. Lucas' eyes widened. "Daniel, It's still out there. I swallowed hard, and I think it knows a way in. The bunker's dim emergency lights flickered like dying stars overhead, casting long, trembling beams across the concrete walls. My name is Daniel, and as I pressed my back against the cold steel door, I felt the vibrations intensify, slow at first, then heavier, rhythmic. Each pulse crawled up my spine as if the ancient entity outside was tapping directly into my nervous system. Lucas paced the small bunker chamber, running trembling hands through his hair. The faint hum of the bunker's independent generator echoed beneath us, a fragile heartbeat in a world consumed by darkness. "Daniel," he whispered, his voice cracking. "That thing, it followed us here." I nodded, swallowing the rising dread. The concrete beneath us trembled again, dust drifting from the ceiling in soft gray clouds. Whatever the entity was, it was massive enough and aware enough to sense us even through reinforced steel and earth. We had bought time, nothing more. The bunker wasn't large, a central chamber with metal storage shelves, a small control station for the independent grid, and 2 narrow corridors leading to supply rooms. Everything smelled of old metal and machinery oil. Emergency signage from decades past still clung to the walls, torn, faded, a reminder of a time when people feared bombs instead of living shadows. "We need to find a way deeper inside," I said, forcing myself to my feet. "There should be a secondary blast door, something with heavier shielding." Lucas opened one of the side doors. The storage room beyond was cluttered with old filing cabinets, cracked monitors, frayed cables, and boxes labeled Civil Response Kit. Nothing that could stop what hunted us. He slammed the door shut. "What good is running deeper? That thing tore a courthouse apart like paper." I didn't have an answer. Instead, I approached the control station. Dust coated every switch and panel. A diagram showed the bunker's old network power conduits, ventilation shafts, reinforcement layers. Something about the layout tugged at my memory. A symbol repeated along several panels. A stylized sunburst. Brookhaven Light Authority. I whispered. The bunker's grid wasn't just separate. It was built to withstand catastrophic outages. It could generate its own light at a much higher intensity than anything on the surface. Lucas blinked. "So, this place was made to stay bright no matter what." "Exactly." A faint spark of hope flickered in his eyes. "So maybe the creature can't enter. Maybe." But I wasn't certain. The massive entity outside wasn't like the smaller shadows. It didn't simply flee light. It consumed it, bent it, broke it. Another pulse shook the bunker. This one harder. The steel door buckled inward slightly as if pushed by a mountain. Lucas backed away. "Oh God, Daniel, it's going to break through. We need more light," I said. "Not just this pathetic emergency glow. We need the full output. The maximum the bunker can push." I scanned the control board and found a rotary switch labeled Intensity Grid. It was set to low. I twisted it. Nothing happened. Lucas grabbed a nearby manual, flipping frantically through brittle pages. "It says the main activation requires dual authorization. 2 switches At the same time, where I looked around, he pointed to the far wall where another panel waited in shadow. A heavy thud shook the bunker. The steel door bowed inward, cracks forming around the hinges. Dust cascaded from the ceiling. Lucas shouted, "Daniel, we need to do this now." I sprinted to the far panel. Lucas positioned himself at the original switch. "Ready," I called. He nodded, pale but determined. 3, 2, 1, now. We flipped both switches simultaneously. The bunker roared to life. A surge of electricity thundered through the chamber as blinding white light exploded from ceiling panels, flooding the bunker with radiance so intense I shielded my eyes with my arm. The emergency bulbs transformed into miniature suns. The air vibrated with the force of the activation. Lucas gasped, "Daniel, this is..." But he didn't finish, because the entity outside screamed, not with sound, with pressure. The psychic force slammed the metal door so hard it dented inward but did not open. The shadow tendrils that had crept beneath the doorframe recoiled violently, melting into black liquid that evaporated into smoke. The pounding outside grew frantic, erratic. The creature was enraged. I stumbled back toward the central chamber, the bunker humming like a living engine. Lucas stared at the walls, wide-eyed. The light, it hurts it. It actually hurts it. But the tremors didn't stop. They grew stronger. The entity wasn't retreating. It was adapting, fighting the light, trying to overpower the structure. A deeper vibration echoed from the generator chamber beneath us. A tremor so powerful it shattered a nearby glass panel. Sparks rained onto the floor. The humming began to destabilize. Lucas shouted over the noise, "Daniel, it's trying to drain the bunker, just like it drained the whole town." I opened the access hatch beneath the control station, peering into the maintenance shaft below. Thick power conduits glowed faintly with the strain of overexertion. If the entity drew enough energy, the bunker would overload, and if the power failed, we'd be plunged into total darkness with nowhere to run. "We need to reinforce the grid manually," I said. "Keep it from collapsing." Lucas stared at me like I was insane. "How?" "We climb down there and reroute the overload." He hesitated, then nodded grimly. "Whatever it takes." We descended into the maintenance shaft. The air grew hotter, pulsing with trapped energy. Sparks arced from overloaded junctions. The conduits vibrated beneath our hands. The bunker was fighting the entity directly through light, and the strain was tearing it apart. Above us, the bunker door boomed again, louder, closer. Lucas shouted, "Daniel, look." A crack split the ceiling of the shaft. A thin tendril of darkness slipped through, trembling violently but determined. It pressed downward like a finger searching for prey. Lucas lifted a wrench and swung, smashing the tendril. It shrieked silently and recoiled, but two more seeped through the crack. We reached the main grid node. A massive junction box glowing red-hot from strain. The overload gauge pulsed wildly. I twisted the pressure valve with both hands. Lucas rerouted the secondary fuse line. The vibrations intensified. The tendrils slithered deeper. Then, a blinding surge burst through the conduits. The overload stabilized. The grid snapped into full synchronization. The entire bunker above us erupted with thunderous light. The tendrils screamed, thrashing violently before evaporating. The vibrations stopped. The psychic pressure receded as though sucked upward and away. For the first time in minutes, silence. We climbed back up into the main chamber. The bunker was brighter than ever, every panel vibrating with contained brilliance. Lucas collapsed against the wall, laughing a hysterical mix of relief and exhaustion. We did it, Daniel. We actually. But then the floor trembled again, not violently, not from outside, from below. Lucas froze. Daniel, that didn't come from the entity. I felt it too, a slow, rhythmic pulse from deep beneath the bunker, beneath the earth itself. The light flickered not from attack, but from interference. Something was waking up, something older than the shadows. Lucas whispered, Daniel, what did we just turn on? I stared at the glowing floor, heart hammering. I don't think this bunker was built to keep something out. I think it was built to keep something in. The bunker floor vibrated beneath my boots in slow, rhythmic pulses that felt nothing like the violent pounding of the entity outside. This was deeper, older, as if something in the earth itself had begun to wake from centuries of sleep. My name is Daniel, and as Lucas and I stared at the concrete beneath our feet, glowing faintly with each underground tremor, a truth I hadn't wanted to consider finally took shape in my mind. The bunker wasn't just a shelter against external threats. It was a seal, a prison, and by activating the full power grid, we hadn't just defended ourselves from the shadow entity. We had unlocked something the bunker was designed to contain. Lucas swallowed hard, his face pale under the harsh bunker lights. Daniel, that pulse, it's not the thing outside. It's something else, something below us. I nodded slowly. I know. Another pulse shook the bunker, this time making the emergency lights stutter. Not from weakness, but from interference. Something beneath us was affecting even the isolated circuits. Lucas backed toward the wall. Daniel, what if we just made everything worse? I moved to the control station, scanning the blueprints mapped across the old screens. The layout of the bunker extended downward through multiple sub-levels, levels I hadn't noticed before. Many were marked restricted or sealed since 1964. Thick reinforced layers branched below us, converging toward a chamber labeled Core Hold, and beneath that, a symbol I had only seen once before, stamped on the shadow creature's mark inside my mind. A spiraled eclipse. My breath tightened. Lucas pointed to the screen. That symbol. It's the same thing that appeared when those shadows projected images into your head. It's not just their mark, I whispered. It's their origin. The tremors intensified. Dust drifted from the ceiling in fine sheets. The steel walls groaned under new pressure, not from above this time, but from below. The entity outside slammed the bunker door again, its fury undiminished. But the pulses beneath us, they were growing stronger, more deliberate. Like knocks, like signals. Lucas grabbed my arm. Daniel, we need to shut the power back down if the full lighting is waking whatever is under us. I shook my head. If we shut it down, the entity outside breaks in immediately. We die in seconds. Then what do we do? I didn't have an answer. A sudden shriek psychic, not physical, tore through the bunker, making both of us drop to our knees. The lights flickered violently as the shadow entity outside unleashed its full rage. The steel door bent inward another inch. The hinges moaned, and then the floor cracked. A thin, jagged line tore through the concrete, glowing faintly with red light deeper and older than the crimson radiance from the warehouse. The glow pulsed once, twice, then expanded. Lucas stumbled backward. Daniel, get away from it. Too late. The crack widened seamlessly, silently, as if the floor were nothing more than wet clay. A circle of concrete caved inward, revealing a dark shaft descending into the earth. Hot air rose from it, air that smelled of metal, dust, and something ancient enough to taste like memory itself. My vision blurred as a wave of psychic force rolled upward through the opening. Images slammed into my skull, one after another. Cities without sunlight, oceans turned to mirrors of ink, thousands of towering shadows kneeling around a deeper shape in the center, a shape so vast the sky itself bent around it. And then a single whisper inside my head. Come down. I staggered, gripping the railing of the cracked floor. Lucas stared at me in horror. Daniel, what did you see? What is it trying to make you do? I forced myself to breathe. It wants me to go down there. Lucas shook his head violently. No, absolutely not. That thing outside wants you dead. Whatever is down there wants something even worse. The ground trembled again, not violently, but expectantly, waiting. Lucas grabbed my shoulders. We can seal the shaft. We can barricade it. We can. A booming crack shattered his sentence as the bunker door above us bent inward with terrifying force. The entity outside had grown stronger, strong enough to crack the reinforced steel. The entire chamber shook as tendrils punched through the door seams like spears of black lightning. Lucas swung a piece of metal pipe at the nearest tendril. It recoiled but did not retreat. It was coming in. We had seconds. Daniel, Lucas shouted. Decide. What do we do? My mind raced. If the entity got inside, the bunker's light would not stop it. The smaller ones dissolved under intense illumination, but the ancient void outside consumed it effortlessly. It was stronger by magnitudes. It would slaughter us the moment darkness faltered, but the thing below, it was responding to the light, not fleeing, not attacking, calling. I turned toward the shaft. The heat rising from it pulsed with faint luminescence. The spiraled eclipse symbol flashed through my mind again. If the shadows were fragments of something older, then maybe the thing below wasn't part of them. Maybe it was older still. Maybe it was their enemy. The tendrils broke through the bunker door. Lucas shouted, "Daniel, move." He swung again, smashing one tendril aside as another lashed across the ceiling, bursting a light panel. Sparks rained down. Darkness gathered around the doorway. The void entity was seconds from breaching fully. Lucas' eyes locked onto mine. If you're going to do something, do it now. I made my choice. I grabbed the ladder fixed to the edge of the shaft and climbed down. The heat intensified instantly, washing over me like opening an oven into another world. Lucas cursed behind me. Daniel, I'm coming too. No, I shouted upward. Stay there, Lucas. Hold them back. I don't know what's down here, but if it can stop that thing, then you're not going alone, he yelled. Climbing after me, we descended into the darkness as the bunker above shook violently. The shaft walls pulsed with faint symbols. Ancient markings burned into the stone itself. The deeper we climbed, the brighter the glow became. The air thickened, vibrating with resonance. My heart pounded in rhythm with the pulses from below. As if syncing with something massive and alive, we reached a wide platform about 40 feet down. The stone chamber opened into a circular cavern, lined with strange metallic pillars, smooth, seamless, humming with residual energy. At the center of the cavern stood a monolithic structure carved from obsidian-like material, radiating heat and faint light. The spiraled eclipse symbol glowed, carved into its front. Lucas stared in awe. Daniel, what is this place? Before I could answer, a tremor rolled through the cavern. The monolithic structure cracked open from the center, releasing a surge of blinding golden light, pure, radiant, cleansing, not red, not shadow, light like sunlight trapped underground. The cavern roared with awakening energy. Above us, the bunker exploded with psychic noise. The void entity shrieked, truly shrieked, as if the light here affected it more violently than anything at the surface. Then a voice not spoken, not psychic, filled the cavern. It was a presence, ancient, vast, awakened. You have freed me. Lucas stumbled backward. Daniel, what did you do? I stared at the opening monolith, heart hammering. I think we just woke something that the shadows were terrified of. The golden light flooding the subterranean cavern intensified until it felt like standing inside the heart of a rising sun. My name is Daniel, and as I shielded my eyes from the brilliance erupting out of the cracked obsidian monolith, it struck me with terrifying clarity that what we had awakened was not merely ancient. It was imprisoned. Lucas stumbled backward, nearly slipping on the stone platform. His voice trembled. Daniel, this thing, whatever it is, why would the town build a bunker on top of it? I didn't answer. I couldn't. The cavern shook as the monolith continued to split open, its dark shell peeling away in molten fragments. Golden radiance poured from the widening seams, illuminating symbols carved across the cavern walls. Spirals, eclipses, interlocking patterns of shadow and light. They pulsed in rhythm with the awakening entity, responding like living runes. A voice surged through the chamber again, neither sound nor thought, but presence. A vast awareness pressing against my mind like a tidal wave. You have broken the seal. Lucas grabbed my arm. Daniel, tell me that doesn't mean what I think it means. The light dimmed slightly, condensing into a focused beam that shot upward through the shaft we had descended. The bunker above glowed violently from its touch. Through the beam I heard something unmistakable, the void entity shrieking, not with fury this time, with pain. I stepped closer to the monolith, feeling its heat soak into my skin. The obsidian shell cracked wider, revealing a swirling core of liquid gold, rotating like a miniature star trapped in stone. Who are you? I whispered. The answer arrived not in words but images. A world filled with ancient light, towers of radiant stone, oceans shimmering with golden tides, and shadows, millions of them rising from fractures in the earth, swallowing the light city by city, horizon by horizon. A war lasting centuries, the last beacon of light forced underground, sealed beneath the earth by the last survivors. A prison built to contain it, not because it was dangerous, but because the shadows were hunting it. This being was not the enemy. It was the last defender of a world devoured by darkness. The monolith pulsed brighter. Lucas stared at me, breathing hard. Daniel, it thinks you freed it. Why you? I felt the same question burning inside me. Why me? What connection did I have to ancient wars and shadow cities? Before I could think, the chamber shook violently. A thunderous crack echoed from above. The void entity, wounded but not defeated, hurled itself against the bunker with renewed fury. Jagged tendrils spilled down the shaft like black lightning, reaching for the cavern. It's desperate, Lucas gasped. It knows the thing down here can hurt it. A massive tendril whipped through the opening, gouging into the stone floor. Lucas dove aside as I jumped back. The tendril lunged again, but the golden monolith flared, releasing a shockwave of radiant force that disintegrated the tendril in an instant. The void entity screamed again. This time, its cry shook the entire cavern. Dust rained from the ceiling, stone fractured in long, jagged lines. Lucas shouted, "Daniel, I don't think this place is going to hold." The monolith opened fully. A burst of golden radiance shot outward, blinding and pure. When it faded, something stood in the center of the chamber, humanoid in shape, but composed entirely of swirling light. Its form was fluid, shimmering, shifting between defined and undefined. No face, no features, yet it emanated an overwhelming sense of purpose. Lucas whispered, "What is that?" The entity's presence pressed against our minds. "I am the last light-bound." My breath caught. The name echoed deep inside me, as if familiar from forgotten dreams. Lucas raised a shaking hand. "If you're light, and that thing above is darkness, are you here to fight it?" The light-bound tilted its head. The shadows consumed my world. I was bound here to stop them from consuming yours. The cavern trembled again as the void entity tore deeper through the bunker above. Pieces of metal fell through the shaft, clanging against the stone floor. Tendrils writhed in the opening, thick and powerful, no longer afraid to push past the radiant glow. The light-bound raised a hand. The cavern erupted with brilliance, forcing the tendrils back, but only momentarily. The void entity twisted the shadows, hardening them into spears of condensed darkness. They pierced the light, cracking it like glass. Shards of radiance shattered across the cavern, dissolving into shimmering particles. Lucas shouted, "Daniel, it's winning." "No," I said quietly. "It's adapting, just like it did with the lantern, with the floodlights. But the light-bound, it's weakened by..." It's been trapped for centuries. We drained the bunker just keeping the shadows back. It doesn't have enough energy. Lucas stared at me. Then what does it need? The answer hit me like a shockwave. Power. The bunker's grid. Every last watt. I sprinted back toward the ladder. Daniel, where are you going? Lucas shouted after me. To overload the grid, I said. To give it everything. Lucas paled. You'll blow the entire bunker. I know, but if we didn't, the entire town and maybe far more would fall to the void. I climbed up into the bunker chamber. The steel door had buckled inward nearly a foot. Tendrils hammered against it like battering rams of living shadow. The bunker lights flickered under their assault, growing weaker. I ran to the control station and grabbed the override lever. The gauges were already near critical. One more surge would overload the system. Lucas climbed up behind me. Daniel, stop. If you do this, you might kill yourself. The blast could vaporize this entire room. I looked at him. If we don't stop that thing, it won't matter. His jaw clenched. Then he grabbed the lever beside mine. We pull together, he said. The bunker shook violently. The void entity was seconds from breaking through. Tendrils slid under the door, stretching across the floor. We pulled the levers down. Every light in the bunker exploded with sun-like brilliance. A pillar of golden energy shot down the shaft in a roaring cascade. The light-bound absorbed it and transformed. Its form grew brighter, taller, more defined. Wings of pure radiance unfurled from its back, scorching the air. The chamber became a world of gold. The void entity shrieked, recoiling for the first time since awakening. Its entire mass pulled back from the shaft, writhing violently. The light-bound rose into the air, its presence filling the cavern. You have restored me, the void entity roared above, shadows spiraling in panicked chaos. The light-bound soared upward, straight into battle. Lucas stared, breathless. Daniel, what now? The bunker trembled. Stones fell. The cavern rumbled as two ancient forces collided above us. I looked up into the blazing shaft. Now we see who survives the night. The entire bunker shuddered above us, as if the earth itself were being torn open. My name is Daniel, and as the light-bound surged upward in a column of roaring golden radiance, the world trembled under the clash of ancient forces. Lucas and I stood beneath the shaft, half blinded by the brilliance, half deafened by the psychic roars echoing through the stone chamber. The void entity above screeched with a rage deeper and older than language. Its tendrils thrashed across the surface, tearing through buildings, gouging trenches into the earth itself. The town of Brookhaven quiet, forgotten, small, had become the battlefield for something cosmic. Lucas grabbed my wrist. Daniel, we can't stay down here. If that fight brings this whole place down on us. I know, I said, but going up there might be worse. We could hear it clearly now. The light-bound's radiance burned through the tunnels, flooding the cavern with shimmering gold. Shadows writhed across the walls like dying serpents, recoiling from the beam of pure illumination. The void entity roared again, launching a massive surge of darkness down the shaft. A tidal wave of shadow slammed into the cavern, cavern ceiling. The entire world shook. Chunks of rock fell around us. Lucas shoved me aside as a massive slab of stone crashed where I had stood seconds earlier. The air filled with dust and vibrating heat. I coughed, blinking through the haze. Lucas shouted, "Daniel, look, up the shaft." The golden light flickered just for a moment, but enough to chill my blood. The void entity pressed harder, compressing its mass into a solid wedge of darkness, forcing its way downward. The Lightbound answered with a blinding eruption of gold, shattering the darkness like brittle glass. A shockwave rippled through the cavern, sending cracks racing across the floor. The battle was tearing the world apart. Lucas back toward the wall. "Daniel, if they keep this up, the entire town will collapse into this cavern." "I know," I murmured, but I also knew something else. The Lightbound, even recharged, was not at full power. It was ancient. It was wounded. The void entity had thrived for ages, feeding on light, consuming worlds. The shadows above us were not its true form, only fragments. The real void was deeper, older, hungrier, and it wanted me, not to kill me, to claim me. The realization struck like a spear. Every psychic attack, every shadow that stalked me, every whisper, "Come down," was not random. I was chosen. But why? Another eruption of shadow slammed down the shaft. The Lightbound intercepted it mid-air, forming a barrier of radiance that rippled like molten gold. The collision filled the chamber with a deafening boom. Lucas clutched his head, groaning as the psychic noise stabbed at our minds. "Daniel, we're going to die down here if we don't move." I scanned the cavern. One tunnel branched deeper into darkness, leading away from the shaft. A path untouched by the battle. Maybe a maintenance route. Maybe a passage to lower structures built by the old world the Lightbound had shown me. We ran. The tunnel walls pulsed faintly with the spiraled eclipse symbol, glowing each time the Lightbound or the void entity unleashed another blast above us. The ground heaved with every strike. Dust poured from ceiling cracks. The deeper we fled, the hotter the air became, vibrating with ancient resonance. After nearly a minute of sprinting, the tunnel opened into another chamber, smaller, more refined. Machinery lined the walls, humming faintly with golden energy. At the center stood a towering console of smooth stone mixed with unfamiliar metal. Symbols glowed across its surface. Lucas bent over, catching his breath. "Daniel, what is this place? Another seal. Something to hold the Lightbound down here." I approached the console slowly. No, not a prison, a conduit. The carvings were intricate, depicting streams of light flowing from the monolith toward the surface, toward the sky. "It's a channel," I whispered, "a way to direct power outward, maybe even amplify it." Lucas' eyes widened. "You mean like a weapon?" "Not just a weapon," I said. "A beacon." Another roar thundered from the shaft. The Lightbound's golden radiance flickered again, longer this time. The void entity seized the moment, forcing more of its mass downward. Darkness splattered across the cavern ceiling, dripping like tar. The Lightbound was weakening. Lucas snapped, "Daniel, if we can boost it, do it now." I turned to the console. The symbols shifted as my hands approached, glowing brighter. A surge of energy lanced through my fingers. Warm but heavy, the device recognized me. Or rather, something inside me. The spiraled eclipse symbol pulsed beneath my palm. Lucas whispered, "Daniel, why does it respond to you like that?" I didn't know, and I didn't have time to wonder. I pressed my hand fully onto the symbol. The console awakened. Golden veins of energy shot across its surface, spreading through the machinery, racing into the walls. A tremor rolled through the floor as power surged upward. Above us, the shaft ignited with a blinding eruption of light. The Lightbound absorbed the surge instantly. Its weakened glow flared brighter, stronger, towering. Its voice resonated through the cavern. "You channel the lost bloodline." Lucas looked at me, terrified. "Bloodline? Daniel, what does that mean?" Before I could respond, the void entity shrieked with a sound so powerful the entire cavern split open. Darkness surged downward like a collapsing star. The Lightbound intercepted it, wings of radiant fire expanding across the shaft. But the void entity was no longer retreating. It was descending. One immense limb pierced through the collapsing bunker. Another tore through the ground above the cavern, sending rubble raining down. The shadow mass forced its way deeper, swallowing everything in its path. The Lightbound roared in defiance. The two forces collided again. A blast of gold and black tore through the shaft, shaking loose massive stones. The tunnel behind us collapsed. Lucas screamed, "Daniel, we can't go back, we're trapped." The console pulsed again beneath my hand. The spiraled eclipse symbol glowed brighter, hotter, brilliant white instead of gold. Images flooded my mind. A lineage of humans who carried fragments of ancient light in their blood. Guardians born to reconnect the Lightbound to the world. A warning that only one of them remained. Me. Lucas grabbed my arm. "Daniel, what is it showing you?" Before I could answer, the Lightbound's voice boomed through the console. "The void seeks you. It knows your light. You must ascend." The shaft was collapsing. The void entity was forcing its full mass downward. The Lightbound rose to meet it, but even empowered, it was struggling. Lucas' voice cracked. "Daniel, we can't climb that. It's suicide." I stepped toward the base of the shaft, feeling the golden energy radiating upward like a living wind. "I think it wants to take me. I think that's why I'm involved in all this." "No," Lucas roared. "I am not letting you go up there alone." A massive shadow limb plunged through the ceiling, slamming into the cavern floor. The Lightbound caught it with both radiant hands, struggling under the force. Golden cracks spread across its body. It couldn't hold much longer. The Lightbound spoke again, not in words, but in a command that shook the world. "Ascend." Lucas grabbed my shoulders. "Daniel, please don't." I looked into his eyes. "If I don't, everything dies." The Lightbound unleashed one final flare, opening a path through collapsing stone and swirling shadow. I stepped onto the rising column of light and ascended into the heart of the battle above. The column of golden light hurled me upward through the collapsing shaft. with a force that stole the breath from my lungs. My name is Daniel, and as I rose toward the surface, toward the battlefield between the Lightbound and the Void Entity, the cavern walls streaked past in a blur of ripping stone and unraveling shadow. The roar above shook the very bones of the world. Lucas's voice echoed faintly below, but I could no longer make out his words. The light carried me relentlessly upward until the bunker ceiling exploded around me. Dust, metal, and fragments of stone rained in every direction. The shaft erupted into the open night sky like a volcanic plume. The battlefield of Brookhaven unfolded beneath a crimson horizon. The Void Entity towered over the town, an impossible mass of writhing shadow limbs and spiraling black mist. Every movement of its colossal form warped the air like heat rising from scorched concrete. Buildings crumpled under its weight. Streets cracked open. The sky dimmed under its presence, swallowing the moon itself, opposing it, suspended high above the ruins. The Lightbound blazed like a celestial torch. Its radiant wings spanned the width of a city block, shimmering with molten gold. Each beat of those wings sent shockwaves of light rippling across the battlefield. The two forces collided again just as I emerged from the shaft. A blast of gold and black tore through the air, rippling outward in a circle that picked up cars, trees, and shattered debris before flinging them miles away. I shielded my face as the explosion of force washed over me. The light deposited me gently onto a broken rooftop, and the column dissipated behind me like a fading dream. The Lightbound's voice flooded my mind. "You must join me." My chest tightened. The Lightbound was not speaking metaphorically. It meant literally. My bloodline, whatever ancient spark it carried, connected me to it. The beacon inside the cavern had awakened something dormant within me, something the shadows had been trying to claim. A shadow spear slammed into the rooftop where I stood, cracking it like glass. I dove aside as a tendril whipped past, slicing through the air with enough force to cut steel. The Void Entity had noticed me. Its massive head, or what passed for one, turned toward me. A single hollow void opened at its center, swirling with darkness deeper than space. And from that void came a wordless, crushing whisper. "You are mine." The shadows surged toward me. The Lightbound intercepted. A golden shield erupted around me, dissolving the tendrils before they struck. The Lightbound descended slightly, hovering above the ruined buildings, radiant wings beating furiously as it held back a tidal wave of darkness. "Daniel," said its presence, "you were chosen at birth. Your blood remembers the light. Only together can we end the void." My pulse pounded. I felt heat rising in my chest, not from fear, but from something glowing beneath my sternum, a point of golden warmth that responded to the Lightbound's words. Another tendril shot toward me. The Lightbound deflected it with a sweep of its arm. I forced myself to my feet. "What do you want me to do?" The Lightbound extended a hand of pure radiance. "Join your light with mine." Before I could approach, the void entity roared an earth-shaking, mind-tearing sound. It hurled its full mass toward us. Thousands of tendrils converged into a spiraling spear of pure annihilation. The light-bound flared, wings widening to shield me. The spear struck with a blast that shattered every window in the district. The light-bound staggered. Cracks of darkness ran across its radiant form like fractures in glass. "No," I whispered. "It's too strong." The entity's shadow mass reared upward like a tidal wave preparing to crash. Its tendrils reshaped into claws and blades, all aiming at the Lightbound's weakening shield. The Lightbound's voice dimmed. Now, the warmth inside my chest grew hotter. My breath hitched, my vision blurred. Golden sparks drifted from my skin. I stumbled forward. As I drew closer to the Lightbound, the glow within me intensified, pulsing in perfect rhythm with its own radiance. The void entity sensed the change. It lunged. A massive shadow appendage slammed into the rooftop, tearing it apart beneath me. I fell through collapsing layers of concrete and steel, tumbling into the wreckage of an old library. Dust exploded around me. Books flew across the room like dying birds. My shoulder cracked against a broken column. Pain seared up my arm. Above me, the shadow mass tore open the building, reaching for me like an enormous claw. I crawled toward the opening where moonlight fought through the dust. The Lightbound streaked downward in a blur of gold, striking the void entity's limb before it reached me. The explosion of impact sent black shockwaves rippling through the air, but the Lightbound faltered. It was weakening. I forced myself to my feet, my legs trembling. Giant plumes of dust swirled around the ruined streets. Fires burned in distant storefronts. The whole town looked small and fragile compared to the two titans battling above it. Then the Lightbound's voice called again, fainter. "Daniel, ascend." The golden light inside me erupted, no longer a spark, but a flame. I rose into the air. My body lifted weightlessly, drawn toward the Lightbound as if caught in a gravitational pull. Tendrils shot toward me from every direction. I flung out my hand instinctively. A blast of golden force exploded from my palm, vaporizing the shadows in a flash. I stared at my hand, stunned. Lucas had said I was insane to think the bloodline meant anything, but he was wrong. My body hummed with radiant energy, expanding outward like a living star. My pulse beat in harmony with the Lightbound. My thoughts blurred with its own, merging into one radiant stream. The Lightbound extended its hand again. I reached out. Our palms met. Light swallowed everything. A column of radiant fire burst into the sky, engulfing us both. The void entity shrieked with violent rage as cracks split across its massive form. It struck the column with its entire weight, but the light held firm. I felt myself dissolving, not dying, but merging, becoming more. My consciousness intertwined with the Lightbound's. Memories of ancient worlds flashed through my mind. Cities of gold, skies shimmering with eternal dawn, battles fought atop radiant spires, a civilization built on light and destroyed by darkness. We were one now, a single being, a singular force, a fusion of human and celestial, a a light-bound reborn. Below us, the void entity recoiled, its colossal structure unraveling, but it was not defeated. Its form twisted, reconstituting into a new shape, denser, faster, more furious. A coiled mass of shadow preparing for its final strike. The light-bound know. We spoke as one. Daniel. We rise, and together we ascended higher into the sky, preparing to face the full wrath of the void. The sky above Brookhaven had become a battlefield of gods. As we ascended Lightbound and Daniel fused as one radiant being, golden fire trailed behind us, like the tail of a newborn star. My thoughts were no longer mine alone. I felt the Lightbound's consciousness woven into mine. Ancient, vast, discipline, but I also felt something else. Something inside me, rising with each pulse of luminous power. My name is Daniel, and I was no longer just Daniel. Below us, the void entity reared upward, filling half the sky with its colossal mass of writhing shadow. Tendrils thicker than radio towers spiraled outward, forming a corona of swirling blackness that devoured everything it touched. The town beneath us crumbled, streets folding into chasms, buildings collapsing under psychic pressure. The air itself became toxic with the presence of the void. We hovered above it, a single being forged from light and human will. The void struck first, a spear of condensed shadow, 10 stories tall, launched upward, screaming through the air with a sound like metal bending under infinite weight. We lifted one radiant arm, and a shield of golden light erupted before us. The spear hit. The impact shook the entire sky. Shockwaves rippled outward, warping clouds and cracking the earth below. The shield held, though cracks of darkness crawled across its surface like veins. We reinforced it. The cracks sealed. The void entity shrieked with fury, its roar bending the air like a storm. Thousands of smaller tendrils shot upward toward us, forming a spiraling cage of claws. We burst through them. A blast of golden radiance erupted from our core, vaporizing tendrils in a single pulse. The attack carved a shining hole through the writhing darkness, punching into the creature's chest of swirling shadow. The void reeled, but it did not fall. Daniel, the Lightbound's voice, code inside me. It adapts faster than before. We must strike with unity. I know. The glowing warmth inside my chest intensified. I raised my hands, or what felt like hands, though my limbs were now extensions of golden energy shaped by thought. Power surged outward, filling the sky with radiant fire. Below, the void entity condensed its form. The towering mass folded inward, reshaping into a giant humanoid silhouette of pure shadow, its limbs elongated, its torso jagged, its head a swirling vortex with no face. But it had eyes. 2 enormous pits of swirling black opened where eyes should have been, staring directly at us. A psychic whisper crawled into my mind, cold and ancient. You belong to me. Pain shot through my skull. Shadows coiled around my thoughts, trying to pull them apart. The void entity was not just reaching for me. It was trying to reclaim something it believed was already its own. Lightbound. I feel it trying to pull me out of myself. It knows your lineage. The Lightbound responded. It seeks the light within you, but you are stronger than its hunger. The void entity thrust out one massive hand. A tidal wave of shadow surged toward us. We dodged, weaving through spirals of darkness that spiraled upward like black tornadoes. Each brush with the shadows felt like touching freezing water that wanted to seep through my skin and extinguish the light inside me. We retaliated. Golden beams shot from our palms, carving through the wave and splitting it in half. The void staggered backward, pieces of its form melting like burning paper. But the mass reformed instantly. Daniel the Lightbound warned, "It is learning your patterns. Then let it learn something new." We surged forward, faster than thought. One radiant fist struck the void entity's chest. The impact detonated outward, sending a shockwave of golden fire across the sky. The creature's form cracked open, shadow spilling out like liquid smoke. For a brief moment, we saw something inside, something red, beating, shifting, a core, a heart, a weakness. We dove toward it. The void entity recoiled, unleashing a seismic blast that sent us tumbling backward through the air. Darkness wrapped around us like chains, tightening across our limbs, pulling us toward the ground. The pressure crushed against my ribs even in this fused form. My human body screamed beneath the force. The void forced us downward. The earth rushed up. We crashed into the highway, shattering concrete and metal in an explosion of sparks. Dust erupted in a massive plume. Cars flipped, lampposts bent, asphalt rippled outward like water. Pain rippled through me, but the Lightbound steadied my mind. "Rise!" We stood. Above us, the void entity descended like a collapsing star, its enormous silhouette blotting out the entire sky. The shadow limbs spiraled downward, preparing to impale us. I raised my hands. Golden fire flared, but it wasn't enough. The void's shadow spears struck, but something blocked them. A barrier, not ours. Lucas. He stood on the crumbling overpass, holding the old industrial floodlight he had dragged from the bunker. Its generator was charred, half destroyed, barely functioning, but the bulb shone with golden light, charged from the conduit below. The Lightbound's energy had filled him. "Two," Lucas shouted. "Daniel, you're not alone in this, fight it." The void entity screamed and redirected its attack toward Lucas. "No." We shot upward again, intercepting the void's strike. Our radiant blade formed from pure will, slashed through the shadow appendage, severing it in a burst of black dust. Lucas stumbled, but he remained standing, floodlight blazing. Daniel the Lightbound said, "The moment is now. We strike together." We soared upward, charging golden fire into our core. The void entity sensed our intent. It pulled back, swirling all its mass into a single point above its chest. The red core glowed. Both forces lunged. Golden and black collided. The explosion lit the world. Wind tore across Brookhaven, uprooting buildings, ripping through forests, howling into the night sky. The shockwave split split clouds for miles. Light and shadow spiraled in a cosmic vortex above the town. I saw Lucas clinging to the overpass barrier, shouting something I couldn't hear. The vortex expanded, then everything went white. I felt the void entity screaming through the light. Its core cracked, splintered, ruptured. Darkness poured like liquid smoke. We pushed harder. The Lightbound's voice roared through me. Daniel, now. I unleashed everything inside me. The golden fire erupted outward, engulfing the void entity's core completely. Cracks spread across the giant shadow like fractures in obsidian, and with a final, earth-shaking roar, the void entity shattered. Its remains dissolved into a swirling storm of black fragments carried away by wind. Silence fell. The sky cleared. The crimson glow faded. The Lightbound hovered beside me, its radiant form flickering, dimming. Lucas stared up at us, eyes wide with disbelief. The Lightbound spoke gently within my mind. Daniel, the battle is won, but your path is not yet complete. I felt my heart tighten. What happens now? The Lightbound's glow soften. The shadows shattered tonight were only fragments. The true void still sleeps beyond the veil, and you must choose whether to remain human or ascend. The wind still, the world waited, and I hung between two futures, one mortal, one impossible, unsure which would destroy me first. The world hung weightless around me. My name is Daniel, and as I floated beside the fading Lightbound above the ruins of Brookhaven, the night felt impossibly still too. Still for what had just happened. The void entity was gone, shattered into drifting fragments of black dust that dissolved into the cold air. The crimson glow had faded from the sky. The trembling earth had gone silent, and yet nothing felt finished. Below us, Lucas stared upward, framed by broken concrete and twisted steel, his floodlight still glowing faintly. His eyes were wide, not with fear this time, but with something far heavier. Hope. The Lightbound's voice whispered inside me, dimmer than before, like an echo drifting away from itself. Daniel, you must choose. The wind was soft, carrying the smell of smoke and ash from the devastated town. Buildings lay split open. Streets were torn like paper. Fires flickered in the distance, small and fragile compared to the celestial war that had just ended. And yet the world felt poised between rebirth and collapse. I looked at my hands, if they could still be called hands. Golden energy flickered across them like living fire caught beneath my skin. I felt weightless, limitless, terrifyingly alive. The Lightbound's power coursed in me, intertwined with my own pulse. But beneath it all, a question echoed. Was I still human? Lucas cupped his hands around his mouth. Daniel, can you hear me? I turned toward him, instinctually lowering toward the shattered overpass. My feet didn't quite touch the ground. I hovered inches above it, golden sparks drifting from my skin. Lucas stepped back, breath catching in his throat. Daniel, you're glowing. I forced a shaky laugh. Yeah. I noticed his expression shifted, fear melting into relief, into exhaustion, into something like gratitude. He gripped the railing for balance. Is it over? He asked. I wanted to say yes. I wanted to lie. But the Lightbound's fading presence whispered again. The fragments are defeated, but the true void has not yet woken. This world still stands in the shadow of its dreams. I swallowed hard. No, Lucas, this was just the beginning. His face fell, but we destroyed that thing, the huge one, the one that nearly leveled the town. A fragment, the Lightbound whispered. A herald, a piece torn from a deeper night. Lucas looked at me uncertainly. What's it saying? I hesitated, then told him the truth. The void itself is still sleeping, beyond our world, beyond the veil. The thing we fought tonight was only an extension of it. Lucas ran a trembling hand through his hair. So, what happens when it wakes? The sky above rumbled softly, not with lightning, but with the fading ripples of power the battle had left behind. The air shimmered. The shadows wavered unnaturally across the ground, like the world was still adjusting to new rules. Daniel, the Lightbound murmured. Time is thin. The golden figure beside me flickered again, its wings dimming, cracking at the edges like molten glass cooling too fast. I turned sharply. What's happening to you? Lucas looked worried now. Daniel, it's fading. The Lightbound hovered silently, its voice as fragile as dust on wind. My purpose in this vessel is ending. The power you awakened has taken root in you. The bond cannot sustain both of us. A cold wave rippled through my chest. You're dying. The Lightbound shimmered, collapsing slightly inward, like a star losing mass. I am returning to the continuum, but its essence, my essence, remains in you. Lucas stared between us in disbelief. So, Daniel becomes the new Lightbound. Not entirely, I said quickly. I'm still me. The Lightbound spoke softly. You are more. You carry the lineage. You carry the light. Lucas whispered. Daniel, what does that mean? I didn't know how to explain it. The visions I'd seen, the worlds consumed by shadow, the civilizations that rose and fell in the war between darkness and light. It all felt too ancient, too enormous to fit inside any human understanding. But the Lightbound did something unexpected. It reached out not physically, but with a pulse of memory that flowed into both of us. For a moment, the world vanished. We stood inside a vision of a golden city floating above an ocean of shimmering light. Towers rose like crystalline pillars. Figures of radiant energy walked along bridges made of pure illumination. The sky was a swirling canvas of eternal dawn. Then shadows seeped from cracks in the sky, slow at first. Then in torrents, they consumed the towers. The bridges collapsed. The radiant figures dissolved into darkness. The city fell. The vision ended. Lucas staggered, gasping. Oh God. Daniel, that's what's coming. If we fail, I said quietly. The Lightbound dimmed further. Its wings folded inward. Its voice trembled like a fading heartbeat. Daniel, the void seeks balance. It feeds on worlds to silence their light. But you carry the spark that can reignite what was lost. Lucas whispered. Daniel, what is it asking you to do? The Lightbound turned toward me. Ascend or remain? Lucas stared. Ascend into what? I felt the answer like a weight in the air. If I ascended, fully embracing the Lightbound's power, I would no longer be human. I would become the guardian the void fears. But if I remained human, I felt the light-bound weakening quickly. My powers would fade over time. Lucas stepped closer, voice cracking. Daniel, I know what you're thinking, but please don't leave. Not like that. Not now. His words shook something deep inside me. Humanity, connection, a life I still wanted. But the Lightbound's final whisper trembled inside me, urgent and fading. The void is waking. You must decide before the veil closes. Suddenly, the sky above tore open. A rift, a jagged crack of absolute darkness split the air for a brief, terrible instant. Only a second, but enough to feel the cold breath of something watching from beyond. Something vast, something hungry. Lucas gasped. Daniel, the crack sealed as quickly as it appeared. The Lightbound flickered violently, collapsing into itself. Time is finished. Golden light burst from its body, spiraling, unraveling, pouring into me like a flood. My chest ignited with searing radiance. The Lightbound's form dissolved into a million motes of shimmering gold, scattering into the air like fireflies drifting away on the wind. When the glow faded, it was gone. I fell to my knees. My hands trembled not from fear, but from overwhelming power swelling beneath my skin, struggling for identity. Lucas knelt beside me. Daniel, what are you now? I stared up at the sky where the rift had appeared. I didn't know how to answer. All I knew was this: the void had noticed me, and it would come soon. The night after the Lightbound vanished did not feel like a victory. My name is Daniel, and as I stood amid the ruins of Brookhaven with golden light still faintly pulsing beneath my skin, the world felt heavier than ever. The silence was suffocating. No wind, no birds, no signs of life beyond the distant crackling of fires burning through shattered buildings. Lucas stayed a few steps behind me, as if unsure how close he could get without being burned. The floodlight he carried now glowed faintly on its own, drawing power from the air around me. Every light source near me behaved that way. Drawn, awakened. I didn't know whether to be relieved or terrified. The rift in the sky was gone, but the memory of it hovered like a bruise on reality. Lucas exhaled shakily. Daniel, you're sure it's gone? The shadow thing. I nodded slowly. The entity we fought is gone, but not the void. He dragged a hand through his hair, looking around at the wreckage. So what? Now you said the void wasn't awake yet. How long do we have? I shook my head. I don't know. A cold shiver slid beneath my ribs. The golden energy inside me flickered, reacting to something unseen. A disturbance, a whisper, a tremor across a fabric of reality I could suddenly sense. I didn't know what worried me more, feeling the void stir beyond the veil, or the fact that I could feel it at all. Lucas stepped up beside me. Daniel, talk to me. What are you feeling? I swallowed hard. Something is changing. Not just here, everywhere. The world around us seemed to support that claim. Shadows bent strangely around sharp edges of ruins. The lights from distant fires flickered, as if afraid of something. The air vibrated with a hum only I could hear, soft but growing. Lucas reached out carefully. Does it hurt? I shook my head. No. but it's getting stronger. Before he could respond, a wave of energy rippled across the ground. Street lamps flickered violently. The ground shuddered. A chorus of distant metallic groans echoed across the broken town, as if the earth were exhaling. Lucas stumbled. What was that? Something's coming, I whispered. The golden spark inside me erupted suddenly, flooding my senses with light. Images slammed into my mind, not visions this time. Warnings, a map of the world darkening, shadows crawling across oceans, fractures spreading across the veil, and something else. A location, a point on the map glowing with golden fire. A signal, the Lightbound's final message. My knees buckled, and Lucas caught me before I fell. Daniel, hey, stay with me. What did you see? I steadied myself, glowing fragments drifting from my fingertips like embers. There's a place the Lightbound marked, a place I have to go. Lucas stared at me, horrified. No, absolutely not. You just survived a cosmic shadow monster. You're shaking. You need rest. Rest won't stop the void, I said quietly. Lucas clenched his fists. Daniel, you're not a weapon. You're human. You still get to be human. I wanted to believe him, but deep inside, the golden energy pulsed again, slow, insistent, undeniable. It wasn't asking, it was calling. A beam of light erupted from my palms involuntarily, shooting into the sky. Lucas jumped back, shielding his face as golden sparks rained down. Daniel, stop. You're going to burn out. I gasped, forcing the power down. The beam dissipated, but the signal it responded to remained. I breathed hard. Lucas, I can feel others. He froze. Others what? Others like the Lightbound, or fragments of it, remnants buried across the world, waiting for someone who could hear them, waiting for me. Lucas shook his head violently. Daniel, you can't just run off chasing cosmic light fragments. You're one person. I looked at him, heart pounding. No, Lucas, I'm not. The golden energy flared brighter enough to illuminate the devastated street around us. Lucas stared at me as if seeing me for the first time. His voice softened. Daniel, are you even still you? I hesitated before answering. I hope so. Before more could be said, the shadows around the ruined buildings began to move. Lucas noticed it first. Daniel, look. The darkness wasn't behaving like normal shadow. It pooled, thickened, slid across the ground like liquid smoke. The void left residue, fragments, and now those fragments sensed me. They crawled toward us, dozens of black shapes dragging themselves across the ground, coalescing into tendrils of cold darkness. Lucas raised the dim floodlight, its glow flickering unevenly. Get back, he shouted. The shadows recoiled, but only slightly. They were stronger than before. The void had learned. A tendril lunged at me. Instinctively, I raised my hand. Golden light burst outward, disintegrating the shadow midair, but 5 more surged forward. Lucas swung the beam wildly, holding some at bay. Daniel, they're everywhere. I knew what they were. Scouts, probes, a test. The void was examining its opponent, me. I unleashed another wave of golden radiance, sweeping through the street. Shadows evaporated in a violent cascade, but not all. Some reformed, reshaped, hardened. These were not mindless fragments. They were learning. Lucas backed toward the broken highway barrier. What do they want? I swallowed. They want to find out how strong I am. He stared at me with dawning fear. Testing you, testing us to see if we can be broken. The shadows tightened their circle. Lucas clutched the floodlight. Daniel, we need to get out of here. No, I said. We need direction. The light-bound left me a path. I clenched my fists. Golden energy swelled, building in my chest until my bones hummed. The shadows lunged all at once. I detonated with light. The explosion lit the entire town center like a second sunrise. Shadows vaporized. Windows shattered, debris lifted into the air. When the light faded, the street was empty, but the world felt colder. Lucas lowered the floodlight, breath ragged. Daniel, where do we go? Another pulse surged through me, this time calmer, clearer. A direction burned into my mind like a compass made of fire. North, we go north. Lucas swallowed. How far? My hands glowed brighter. Farther than this world wants us to go. He sighed shakily. We'll need supplies. A car. Something that still runs. Before he could take a step, I lifted off the ground again, only an inch this time, but enough for him to notice. Daniel, you're losing control. I closed my eyes. No, I'm changing. He looked devastated but nodded. Then I'm coming with you. I opened my eyes, light reflecting off the ruins. Lucas, it's too dangerous. The void knows who you are now. He stepped closer, and I don't care. You're my friend. You saved my life. And if the world is ending, I'm sure as hell not letting you face it alone. Emotion hit me harder than any shadow. A human warmth I thought I might lose forever. I nodded, then we go together. But as the words left my mouth, the earth trembled again, far deeper this time. A crack split open across the horizon, just for an instant. A pulse of black light rippled across the sky like a heartbeat. The void was waking, and it knew my name. The wind over Brookhaven carried the smell of smoke, dust, and something else. Something not of this world. My name is Daniel, and as the void tremor faded across the night sky, I understood one truth with absolute certainty. The war had not ended. It had only begun. Lucas stood beside me at the edge of the ruined highway, staring at the horizon where the brief crack of darkness had appeared minutes earlier. His chest rose and fell in ragged breaths. He tried to look brave, but fear trembled beneath every word. Daniel, that thing in the sky. Are we too late? I shook my head slowly. Not yet, but time is dying around us. The golden energy within me no longer a quiet spark, but a roaring current responded to the void's tremor with a violent pulse. My vision blurred for a moment, shifting between two worlds, the ruins around me, and another realm layered beneath reality, made of swirling darkness and faint traces of light. It felt like I was being pulled toward it. Lucas grabbed my arm. Daniel, stay with me. Don't drift off into whatever cosmic nightmare is tugging at your brain. I focused, grounding myself. I'm here. For now, Lucas echoed under his breath, not liking the implication. The air vibrated again softly, like a breath brushing against the world's skin. The shadows in the debris shifted, moving in unnatural patterns. The void fragments were still there, crawling silently like insects that had tasted blood. They were waiting, watching, testing. Daniel Lucas whispered, "Do you think they know where we're going? They know everything I do." Lucas swore, "That's not creepy at all." I stepped away from him, staring north toward the point the Lightbound had shown me. A direction burned into my mind like a brand, a beacon calling me home, or to war, or to something I couldn't name. Lucas followed my gaze. "So that's our path. What's out there?" I hesitated. I didn't want to tell him, but he deserved the truth. "There's another monolith." He blinked, like the one underground. I nodded, and more than that, something ancient rests beneath it. Something alive. "Alive," Lucas repeated, horrified. "Alive, as in friendly alive. Or shadow monster alive." I exhaled. I wish I knew, before he could respond. The ground shook again, much harder this time. Buildings groaned. Asphalt cracked. Dust plumed into the air. A deep rumble rolled beneath our feet like a sleeping colossus turning in its grave. Lucas gripped my shoulder. "Daniel, run." But the tremor wasn't an attack. It was a birth. A new crack tore open across the horizon, larger, darker, deeper than the one before. It stretched upward like a great black wound in the sky, tearing through the clouds, pulsing with sickening light. The air thinned, the wind turned icy, the void was waking. I felt it inside my bones. Lucas whispered, "Daniel, I don't think we have time to reach your monolith thing." A tendril of black lightning lashed from the rift, striking the ground miles away. The explosion shook the earth, sending shockwaves racing across the valley. The void was not subtle anymore. It knew where I was, and it wanted me. Daniel Lucas said, voice cracking, "What do we do?" I closed my eyes and reached deeper into the golden power inside me. Warmth flooded through my chest, but behind it came something sharper, heavier, a weight of responsibility that felt older than my bloodline, older than anything human. The Lightbound had given me its essence. Now I had to choose what to do with it. I opened my eyes. "Lucas, I need you to trust me." He swallowed. "Always." I lifted off the ground, not floating this time, but rising with force. Golden flames erupted around me, spiraling upward like a beacon. Lucas shielded his face from the glare. "Daniel, you're too high. Don't." His voice cut off as the world around me dissolved into blinding light. The golden energy surged, expanding my consciousness outward like ripples across water. I felt everything: the wind, the trembling earth, the void's breath leaking through the crack in the sky, and beneath it all, a voice, not the Lightbound, something older, something waiting. "Daniel." It wasn't speech, it was a resonance, a call vibrating through the cosmos, a summoning. The monolith in the north was waking up, calling me by name. "Daniel, snap out of it." Lucas's voice yanked me back to the present. The light around me dimmed. I descended, landing heavily on cracked asphalt. Lucas grabbed my arms. "Daniel, what did you see?" "Another guardian." He froze. "Another Lightbound." "No, something different, something stronger, something that isn't dying." Lucas stared at me like he was seeing a stranger. "Daniel, What are you turning into? I opened my mouth to answer, but the shadows answered first. A massive tendril erupted from the ruins behind us, slamming into the street. Lucas screamed as debris exploded into the air. More tendrils followed. Dozens, maybe hundreds, whipping across the landscape like the limbs of a colossal beast forcing its way into our world. But these weren't the same fragments as before. They were evolving, solidifying, learning. I raised my hand. Golden fire shot out, vaporizing several tendrils at once. But for every one I destroyed, two more formed. Lucas yelled, "Daniel, they're multiplying. They're converging on us." Another tendril launched toward Lucas. I threw myself between them, blasting it apart with a burst of light. Lucas stumbled backward. "Daniel, there's too many." "No, they're not here to kill us." Lucas gaped. "Then what do they want?" "Me." The void wanted its lost bloodline, its stolen light, its chosen adversary. A massive tendril coiled upward like a serpent preparing to strike. I clenched my fists and stepped forward, golden flames igniting around my body. Heat rippled across the air. Lucas stared. "Daniel, you can't fight all of them." "I know." "Then what do we do?" I turned toward the north. "We run." We turned as one and sprinted across the broken highway. Tendrils crashed behind us, tearing up asphalt, pulverizing stone. Lucas kept pace as best he could, panting hard. "Daniel, faster. They're gaining on us." I grabbed his wrist. "Hold on." Golden energy surged beneath my feet, propelling us forward in a burst of speed. Lucas screamed as we were launched across debris and fractured earth like human missiles. I kept hold of him as we landed hard beside a shattered overpass. He groaned. "Daniel, warn me before you do." Whatever that was, I didn't have time to reply. The shadows converged again, forming a swirling vortex of darkness. A shape began to emerge within it, humanoid, massive, incomplete, but rapidly taking form. Lucas choked. "Daniel, is that the void?" "No." "A vessel." "A vessel for what?" I tightened my grip on him. For me, the void wasn't just chasing me, it was trying to claim me, because I was the only thing that could stand against it. Daniel, Lucas whispered. "What are you going to do?" I looked north, toward the monolith, toward the ancient presence waiting for me. "I'm going to awaken what's sleeping there." Lucas stared, terrified and determined. "Then I'm coming with you." I nodded. Together, we ran toward the horizon as the vessel behind us roared with awakening hunger. And above us, the rift in the sky widened, its first true breath shaking the world. The story ends here. Thank you for watching and listening to the whole story. Please subscribe to the channel and turn on the bell to listen to the next stories.